Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah, so we are live with the HOOA podcast, I think number 6, and this strange guest, Gladiator Landon,
Yep,
he
yep.
he was so fired up, he wanted to do it right away, and I got him on. And apparently he has his own podcast, No Brain Podcast, so this is a plug. And
Yep.
but like usually we do like the thing that we talked beforehand, but it was so much fucking gold that I just like started like straight off the bat. This guy has his own questions, so he's interviewing me basically. I felt like
Hmm.
shit. Yes, I'm the guest again. I like that actually. Yeah.
I know that you write a lot, and so like you said before when we were not recording, you were talking about how you think a lot. Like you really ponder things and you really throw things through your brain multiple times to understand how they work, how different things. Like
Hmm.
I think I read a tweet where it was like you take something, you take a thought and you kind of bring it out and you look all around it and you examine it
Yeah.
from all sides. And I feel like you're a good example of that because I think that you're really introspective.
Yeah. I like you have like the dichotomy between introvert and extrovert. If there was
Mhm.
such a thing as like a fucking mega introvert, that is me and was me. Like that had like detrimental benefits for like your social life because then you're like a nerd or dork or whatever. I was never
Mhm.
a geek. I'm really bad with technology. Fucking hate coding and shit like that. But if you're really introspective, you become like this geek and this nerd or dork or whatever.
Mhm.
And that has its like flaws as well. That's my story, whatever. But what I tried to explain with that tweet, I think, is like if you've ever seen a movie, like a sci-fi movie, where you have this like heads-up display or like a video game in the air, and you can move things around. Like this technology doesn't exist yet, you know.
Mhm.
But I use my imagination to what I call colorize and concretize a thought. So let's say you're talking about heartbreak, you have to give it a color. Let's say we give it red, and the concretization it has more like a fiery shape or something. Then I can see it and then I can like magnify it. What is the heartbreak about? Oh, it was this girl. Okay, she dumped you. Okay, why isn't that resolved? And then I can go in this fucking tunnel in this whole meditation session if I want to, or not. Or if it's like really fucking garbage, like, okay, why were you crying about that girl? She cheated on you. Then you just take the thought, then you squish the fire, then you extinguish it, and then you throw it away, and it's gone. Maybe it will come back, of course, but you have to keep doing this shit so you're in the present moment and you can think of what's really important right now. You know, fuck that
Mhm.
girl. That's not important anymore.
Yeah. With girls, I read something about how
You know?
don't expect a girl to be a fucking philosopher. Like I think that every girl I've met,
Yeah,
I've tried to test their intelligence limit. Not that I'm intelligent in terms of IQ. I just think I'm a really in-depth thinker,
yeah.
and I try and throw ideas off girls, and I don't really get a whole lot of feedback. But when I'm hanging out
Hmm.
with my friends that I really enjoy and I really like to pick their brain, like you, for
Yeah,
instance,
yeah,
I actually get good feedback, and
yeah, yeah.
I have to stop thinking I'm gonna find a girl who's gonna really push my philosophy or something. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
that's like on one part, I think that's a little bit like the what I call the Disney pill or the Disney programming that women
Hmm.
have to complete you somehow. Like
Hmm.
that is a flaw already. Like I was reading Musashi the book for something that I'm about to do, and they say like Buddha and the Buddhists think that women are demons. Apparently, don't quote me on this, but so
Accurate.
they're not there out to complete you. Secondly, what I did found is that they are mirrors to you. So, for example, if you're fucking low and sulky, then they will turn into that as well. And if you're really like fucking like high on life or have something to celebrate, suddenly they have shit to celebrate as well. Like for example, couple days ago, I broke the 10K mark. So I
Hmm.
wasn't with the girl because it was the weekday. So I just texted her, "Hey, I have something to celebrate." But I didn't even say what, and she was like, "Oh, what is it?" Blah blah. Blah. I was like, it doesn't matter to you, you know, it doesn't matter to you." So, but and then just like today or something, she was like, "I have something to celebrate." You know,
Hmm.
it's not coincidental. It's very like mirroring each other along the way. You know,
Yeah.
but I really want to zoom in on that. Like, I think it's Tate or yeah, Tate and like Lobo. They talk about it that it's especially the intelligent guys that want an intelligent girl. You know, I have a
Hmm.
friend, a Spanish dude, Benjamin JGW. He says it as well. Like he wants he's an intelligent dude, so he wants the intelligent girl. But
Hmm.
I think it's a little bit like a semi cope. I think of intelligent guys that they want maybe deep down some kind of validation in the form of a woman to hear the intelligent shit, you know. But let's say like if you split it up, like you get your intelligent shit with your bros, but you get the more like fun stuff and the feminine cozy, caring, nurturing stuff from the woman, then it should be all right, unless you really want to force it on the women. So I tend to really compartmentalize. If the girl doesn't have it, I just try to see what she has, try to make the most of it and mold her to my idea almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I think that I'm stuck in that thought where it's almost like I want that validation in some way, where I want some kind of intelligent conversation, but it's just it's like asking a girl to fucking have a dick. It's just not going to happen. It's just asking like for random things. Asking a girl to be super intelligent. It's just not. I mean, not that they're not intelligent, but people are going to try to spin that how they do.
I do know how you feel, and that is also a little bit of like, if we can like be transparent, a bit of my kryptonite, because I am one of these intelligent dude as well, and this desire is almost something to be leveraged by certain women. So I think it was so I almost forgot. This year there was this woman. She was a little bit dragging me down because she was one of these smart women. So I wanted her too bad, and then it goes wrong. But trust me now, at least to me, from now on, I won't want these type of women, because she was almost me in the female version. She was ridiculously smart beyond, it was crazy. And so she went to university and stuff like that. She had a similar degree as me, but it's not cool. I don't like it that much anymore, because I was so confronted by it, and she rationalized things at the moment that her ego slipped in, but then her brain took over, and she rationalized it let's not get our ego involved, blah blah, and let's be zen. And I was like, bitch, you did something wrong, she was too smart for her own good, and then she lost a big part of her femininity and her kindness and those kinds of things that I appreciate in her that she had. But when it got really serious, the smart part came in front of her, not to get hurt. And so I definitely wary of it now. I'm cautious.
When I was younger, I was a lot more social, and I guess you can consider me extroverted.
Yeah.
But now that I've really fallen down the information road, I really enjoy. I never thought in a million years I'd be reading books.
Yeah.
But I'm reading books. I'm just consuming as much information as I possibly can, and it's turned me into an introvert. It turned me into where I'm thinking of everything constantly all the time. I just have to try and figure different things out, and I'm stuck in the pattern. I can't really. It's hard for me to be as extroverted as I used to be.
Yeah, but was this change gradual to you, or did you feel it switch one day?
I think it was a switch, because I was hanging around a lot of a bad crowd of dudes who it was just like they're all about partying, they're all about just doing their own thing, fucking girls, and that was pretty much the only thing they were doing.
Okay.
And since I was so far into that, once I got out, it felt so freeing, and just how one little piece of information can change your whole life.
Yeah.
That to me was so important, because I've got little bits of information that have just completely changed my life. And so it makes my journey to try and get more information that much more wanting to attain it.
I get it. What kind of information are you talking about? Can you be specific?
Mainly, I mean, there's a couple niches that I'm in. Especially when I was younger, it was my mentors. I had an older couple who owned a precision aerospace company, and they owned a couple of different companies. And I worked at that aerospace company when I was about 14. I was stripping paints off parts, and I was driving home one day with the older guy, and I remember him telling me how I'm never gonna make it in life, how my work ethic is terrible.
How old were you?
14 or 15. And I'm telling you, this dude was breaking my dreams. He was telling me, you're the worst worker ever. You fucking don't do it. And I was just going home. It was a 45-minute drive of him just berating me. And I was thinking to myself, God damn, this dude might be right. And it changed my entire life. Thankfully to him, I'm forever invested in him for hitting me with the reality, the real truth.
Yeah, you definitely have to be a specific personality type, because some young men can break from hearing that, But you talked about mentor. There's this Zen quote, when the student is ready, the master will appear, something like that. And but these days, how do I say it? It's maybe a kind of cope that a lot of guys they want the mentor. They want the mentor. Where's my mentor? Where's my mentor? What would you say to those guys?
I think you want to go to what I did is I went to my mentor once a month. I didn't want to do it too much. I didn't want to bother them,
Mhm.
but I would write down 20 to 50 questions of what I wanted to know that time. And then I would come home and I would reflect on it. I think you don't want to lean on your mentor. You want your mentor to just give you tips and advice here and there. But I think too many people, again, like you point out, they fall on their mentor, and it's almost like female dynamics. You want to be the point of origin in the relationship,
Mhm.
and with your mentorship, it's that same way. You still want to be the leader in that relationship, but you want to be able to come to them for ideas on a timely basis, just
Yeah,
not too much.
for sure. Yeah, I feel you on that aspect. I think if you have a mentor, so to say, you also have to provide some form of value. I
Hmm.
was reading up on a thread from Lobo, how he made it big, is that basically he had a lot of value in his train everything philosophy. That when
Hmm.
a mentor came to him or somebody who had something that he wanted and the mentor wanted from him, they looked at Lobo, and this guy, we all know he's somebody else, like a
Hmm.
man out of this world, so much value. So I think a lot of these young kids, when they want something of the mentor, they themselves have nothing of equivalent value, you know.
Hmm.
And that's where it gets icky. You have to have potential or be aspirational or likable or some shit.
Yeah. Thankfully, for my situation, my mentors, I met them through a friend that I was really, really good friends with. We used to play football when we were younger, and baseball.
Okay.
And so luckily I didn't bring them any value at that point, but once they started to help me out and I started to really change my life around, I started to actually work well, and I
Hmm.
was, I was helping them with their companies,
Yeah.
and luckily I gave them that kind of value. But I completely agree. I think for friendships too, you have to bring some kind of value. You don't like being friends with someone who's constantly coming to you for advice and they constantly want to take your time, but
Yes.
then they don't really, they don't get, I mean, friends, it's the same way with a relationship with a girl.
Hmm.
You need some kind of bounce off where it's give and take, give and take.
Yeah.
And if it's too much give, then it's not even really a friendship at that
No,
point.
it's almost like something parasitic. Like in
Hmm.
the bottom of the ocean, you have the whale or something, and then you have
Hmm.
plankton sitting on sitting on the whale, just waiting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something like that. It's funny that you just mentioned friendships and relationship. Of course, that's a big part of life because I just
Hmm.
jotted down, taking some notes. Just so you made the change to go a little bit more introvert. That's what
Hmm.
you mentioned. But did you lose friends along the way or not? And do you have like strategies to maintain them and yeah, keep them happy, the old friends, or maybe they're too normie, or who are your real friends? How do you mitigate these things like
There was one night I was at a friend's birthday party. It was one of my best friends forever. I mean, I knew this dude my whole entire life,
yeah.
and he had a girlfriend who was one of the most toxic people I've ever met in my life, and she was getting him into a bunch of bad drugs. And so on his
Okay.
birthday, he was getting fucked up drunk,
Yeah.
and he did a bunch of coke. And so a bunch of people at the party were doing coke in the bathroom. They came out, and
This had to
and
happen. On my
yeah, yeah.
podcast, you just continued the streak. Every podcast of mine, there's drugs involved. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
elicit it, but so it had to happen. So for the fans out there, we got it. We got it. Okay. Yeah.
Lots of coke, lots of coke, lots of alcohol, and we ended up getting into a fight. And so, short story happens. We pretty much fight. I throw him in the pool. He gets back out. We're fighting more and more. He fucking rips my Fitbit off, throws it in the pool. I grab his chain. I snatch his chain off, and
Oh shit.
his girlfriend's screaming while we're just fucking wrestling. At one point I had him in the pool.
Yeah.
I had a rear naked choke, and I
Yeah.
was choking him out in the pool, but I was also like drowning as well.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking go out, and I'm just gonna kill this dude. I'm gonna die too. Fuck it. But it was at that moment when I realized I have to be as careful. Like, when you choose a business partner, you are
Yes.
so fucking exact with who you choose, because it could be
Yeah.
the downfall of the business. You can have a
Yeah.
great business model, you can have great funding, but if you have a shitty person in it, it's gonna fucking take it down like the Titanic.
Yeah.
So my friends were, not all my friends, but I'd say a good 75% of my friends were taking my ship, and they were sinking my ship just
Yeah.
because of drugs and stupidity and just an immature mindset. And this is kind of why I'm friends now with a little bit more mature, older people, because
Mhm.
I get more insight. They're more on my level of thinking in my
Mhm.
playing field.
Yeah.
So yeah, I cut off probably 75% of my friends.
Yeah, but so definitely cool about the analogy what you said, that they're like a sinking ship, or they
Mhm.
sink you down with them. Like
Mhm.
it's almost like a motif, because the last podcast, the last guest said the same thing. So it's definitely a thing that's very human nature, that we have these people who want to not sink, and that people like try to sink their fucking ship, their fucking
Mhm.
battleship. But you said
Mhm.
like 75% cut off. Was it like, do they know that you cut them off, or did you like silently in your head thought, you know what, I'm gonna siphon the energy, like pull it back a little bit, or
There was it was really a case by case basis. There was a few friends where I knew that I have to avoid them like the fucking bubonic plague. I have to
yeah,
keep them, like block them on every platform, and that's why I ended up delete my Instagram, delete my Snapchat. The only social media I have is Twitter, and it's just because, again, I like writing, I like tweeting.
yeah,
Um, but in certain other ones, I just kind of I stayed around, but I was very very hesitant. And like one of my friends who a big flake, and I hate people that flake,
mhm.
especially when you get used to business and being on time and understanding
Oh yeah,
time frames. This guy just could not fucking make it on time to anything, flaked all the time. And I finally decided one day just to block him. I didn't hear from him. I was trying to film a podcast and he was about to come over, and then I just didn't hear from him. And I go, well, fuck that then. Blocked him. And he was
yeah,
texting me. He's like, hey, bro, I'm out front. Like, I know I'm fucking 3 hours late or whatever, but I'm here now. And I'm like, dude, fucking reverse it and get the fuck back out. I don't know what the fuck you're doing here.
yeah, man. I
And
love that.
so, yeah,
Yeah,
most of my friends were cut off, especially after high school.
yeah.
Was it
That
similar for you?
that's also cool because you made the transition. After high school, it's a change in your life, and then it's good to make a
Mm-hmm.
clean break, maybe. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, from like elementary school to high school, that was, yeah, I just took one friend who went to the same high school. And people know this a bit about me. I didn't make a lot of friends in high school, so there was not a lot to break clean of. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I asked this question, or I'm really curious about the question, the friends that I did make in high school, they stuck around like in university time. They didn't go to the same university as me, but we hang around. So these are like the old friends that I think about when I ask these questions to you. And for me nowadays, when I do these things like podcasts, they don't know I have a channel. They don't know about the 10K, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I myself have become a different person, and
Oh, yeah.
they themselves. How do I say this? Like, for example, if you want to become a UFC fighter, your friends become everybody in the UFC gym and your coach. Coach Kavanaugh,
Yeah.
for example, if I'm Conor McGregor, and all the other guys like Artem Lobov, for the UFC fans.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like everybody outside the gym who's not my wife, or not sucking my dick, whatever, not feeding me, is not my friend anymore, because they can't help me with my fucking UFC champion belt. This is really exaggerative in an analogy, but so that's what happened basically, and they smell it on me. Like what I did do is like I left group chats and shit like that. And every time they try to pull me back in, I like leave the fucking group chat, and they know it. Like, but why I did that specifically is also because there was a disbalance that I read this from I think, in his audiobook, that every group has alphas. So, and the role of the alpha and like people in the hierarchy and shit does not change that easily. So the way they perceived you at the beginning will not change. So in
Mm-hmm.
this group, I don't care that I was lower on the rank, so to say, but I got less benefits from it. So if I was in a group chat, being social or not, this would not help me at all, that I would get invited to some guys' house parties or shit like that. So I would not have access to their women, or when we were going out, it was not always me, or it was not always cool with them. So if I had to do like a cost benefit analysis and be like the fucking psycho, there was not a lot of like, there was too much cost for too little benefit. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sorry, bro. Then I'm just gonna talk to Autoritet, like the guy I met on Twitter all day, because with him, there's a chance I can make money. Or I talked earlier about a friend that I met on Twitter. With him, I can talk all fucking day about red pill philosophy and like fuck these bitches. I can like say this shit, and he'll get it. And
Mm-hmm.
he's your age actually, so that's a little bit like, yeah, too bad that I don't have peers around me. But it
Mm-hmm.
also gives me the chance to give back the shit that I fucked up, to say to younger guys, like, if they don't know it, or just reaffirm it, because I am
Mm-hmm.
older. So yeah, that's what
and
happened with me. Yeah.
and that's so important. again, that's why I try and hang around older people, because I feel like I gain so much more. And
Yeah,
that's why I put myself out there into different things like, lifting weights,
yeah,
going to the gym, bar, hitting the bag.
yeah.
I feel that all these ventures have just hardened me as an individual.
Hmm.
And as you say, when you're with your friends, it's almost like you develop a hive mentality. Everyone thinks the same at the top.
Yeah.
At the bottom, you might have different thoughts of small things, but at the top, you really all think similarly.
Yes.
And when I'd hang out with my friends, I would resort back to how I was. I was, just a stupid kind of kid
Yeah.
who was immature and just doing stupid things and not really focusing on what was important to me.
Yeah.
And now that I've gained that distance, like they try and pull me back. Like I'll be doing some business thing. My friend will text me, be like, "Oh, hey, fucking come out to the club, come out to the strip club, whatever. You don't need to do that work. Like, finish that another time." I'm like, no, 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 that's not how it works anymore. Like, I'm not that same
Yeah.
person. I'm not snooping to that level anymore.
Yeah. I really respect that, man.
Hmm.
Because like it's you can get FOMO sometimes, you know. I don't know for you, we're only
Oh,
human, but it's nice how like you said it's not like that anymore. It happened during the first lockdown as well. Like a friend of mine, he lives in the United Emirates. He works there, and then he came back. And then see, I like that though. He said like, want to hang out again. And then I thought, okay, I haven't seen him like in a year or something, and because it was lockdown, probably not gonna see him again, you know. So went out, drank a whole fucking bottle of tequila. I smoked some cigars, and but then afterwards, like a few weeks later, he wanted to chill again, and then I said no, you know. Then I just said, yo, I'm not gonna fucking chill for the sake of chilling, you know.
hmm
All the fucking clubs are closed. We can't chase women. He even had a girlfriend or something. I was like, yo, bro, we're not gonna chill and like you're gonna not emotional dump all your feelings on me, because that's what happens. My skill is to elicit shit. So if I just sit, people are gonna like dump the shit on me, and you know, like I don't get paid for that shit, man. It gets old. It gets old fast.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I'm in a similar spot, but it's mainly girls. Girls think that I'm like this fucking absolute great thinker because they just talk to dudes that are dorks that fucking have no clue of anything.
Yes.
So I'll call me up and like I had some girl call me up. She was like, "Hey, I just leased this BMW and I'm spending $800 a month on the lease." And I go, "Are you fucking retarded? Like, what are you fucking thinking?" And she's like, "Oh, all my other friends said it was a good idea." It's just,
Uh,
oh, like the
Actually,
public's
dude,
perception of different
dude,
things is
I want to chime
crazy.
in on that. I talk about this a lot because I got it from the book Pook, Book of Pook,
Hmm.
Womanese, and I don't see a lot of guys tweeting about it, but that's Womanese, what you just said about. I want to make the guys, the young guys, really aware that when a woman like says something like that, she has like some hidden emotional value under it. So she's not just she probably likes you or something, and
Hmm.
she's not she doesn't just want the advice. She wants to hear it from you. You know, she wants to be consolated. She wants to hear like something caring. You know, so
Hmm.
definitely for the younger guys out there, you know, don't be stupid. There's always something underneath that shit.
Yeah, this girl has a boyfriend. She's calling me up like once a week. She'll call me up, and I text her and I go, "I'm busy. Like, if I have time, text me, because I don't like talking on the phone. You know how girls will call you up, they'll fucking try and hold you for 3 hours on the phone telling you
Yeah,
about how their boyfriend didn't bring them flowers and blah
yeah,
blah 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 blah. Fuck this, fuck that. I'm not the person who's gonna sit anymore. There's a quote that says, "Girls talk, guys do." And how you mentioned, like, some guys, they want to just sit around and fucking drink and do nothing. I'm like, well, let's do something. If you want to go to the shooting range and go shoot guns, you want to go golfing, you want to go do something, like, then I'm interested.
yeah.
But if we're gonna sit around and if we're talking business, then maybe we can do that. But a lot of times, guys just like to go do something. They like to talk about what they're gonna do. It's not just talking about their
That's a good
feelings and.
point. That's a very good point. Like because like if you do the Myers-Briggs test, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Mhm,
I used to categorize as the like what Einstein has, like the INTJ.
mhm,
That's like the deep thinker. Batman, Walter White, Einstein. You can like it's a certain type that just loves to fucking brood about shit, but these type want a certain effectivity to a task. So talking for the sake of task, for the sake of talking, is nothing. It has no value, you know. But talking for the sake of like accomplishing a mission, let's say XYZ business or XYZ chasing X girl and getting her, not just talking how you lost her, you know. Yeah, that's the crucial part. If you want to do post mortem, you know, like dissect, that's why I come in, and that's where I get my kicks from. But yeah, definitely that's a more girl thing that they just want to, especially they're using you, so you have to be careful with that, man. That's in the book of book they say either they want to fuck you, or these are the more creepy girls, they want to just use you as an emotional tampon. You do not want to be a fucking emotional tampon. Her fucking
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend can be that, and then you fucking discard
Yep.
her, where you use her with whatever you want to do with her, and then go away because she will
Uh-huh.
keep doing that, and it's disgusting.
Exactly. And she knows that I'm working hard to be successful. She knows that I deleted all my social media, so that made it even more interesting. She goes, "Oh, what's the mystery man doing? He deleted all his social media, so I can't see what he's doing. So let me call him up fucking 3 times a week and try and get a hold of him." And
They love that
no,
shit. Yeah, yeah.
oh, and it's exactly it. It's an emotional tampon. She wants me because it's like Rolo talks about orbiters. She wants me
Yes.
just in case anything falls through with her boyfriend, with her
Yeah.
guy friends. She goes, "Oh, maybe maybe Landon, maybe I could go and stay with him and he'll provide for me." I go, "Get the
Yeah,
fuck
that
out of here! I ain't
that
doing that
monkey
shit."
branching shit. Because when you
Yep.
have orbiters, you can monkey branch easily. So,
Yep.
um, so I was just talking earlier about this girl that I met, and she's intellectual, but I've said to her straight, I don't like some things you've told me, and then I hinted at her habits from the past. So, for example, if she wanted to stay at a late out night, she would arrange a guy, but she would not do anything with him, and
Hmm.
just sleep at his place. And she was like, haha, I won, is shit like that. Or
Uh-huh.
she loves to go out with the guys. She's one of those person. And then she said
Uh,
she can just dance, and then the guys are like a shield to her that other guys can't approach her. It's actually fucking smart if you think about it.
mhm.
Yeah, women are smart. And a lot of like little what I call red flags. I just said to yo bitch, that's not gonna happen. Like, and then she was like, oh, you're jealous and stuff like that. And then I tried to explain this. More like Tate would say, territorial. You know,
Mhm.
if I have a Lambo, why would I park my Lambo in the shadiest part of town? It has the best locks on it. Why would I put it there where all people can like access it? No, not gonna happen. You know. So
Mhm.
I just said her, not from a how do you say, like a weekend point of view. I just said to her like, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't know who you grew up with. You're
Yeah.
Western kind of guys who would like just let you run around, but that's not gonna fucking happen. So
But what country are you residing in right now?
hmm. So yeah, I think I said this a couple times, but the Netherlands. I was born
You
and
are.
raised there, and yeah, I don't try to give it away much, especially as I grow now. You have
Right.
like these fucking weirdos. If you're
Oh yeah.
listening to this now, and you're one of those weirdos. Don't be weird. You can just DM
Hmm.
me and we can talk about normal shit. But yeah, the Netherlands.
Yeah, because the girls in the U.S. they're either and this sucks to hear. I mean, a lot of guys are just down a shithole too, but these girls are either fat sluts,
Yeah.
running the OnlyFans like a champ, or just doing things where I don't know. My options are so slim as it is.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
tough to, I don't know if I should maybe move out of the U.S. and
no,
try
no.
and find a different
I
place.
can give a good tip for a guy like you, man, because I'm in a lot with like group chats of the Twitter bros, and
Hmm.
they have this American thing, which you just described. So it's not just one guy. If one guy would say, then it was, bro, you're not doing your best enough. But if
Hmm.
like 10 guys saying it, then it's like a social syndrome, what I call. So,
Yeah.
but the tip for you, because you're pursuing your goals, I think you can do it, is to be more mobile. Not per se a digital nomad, but become more location independent and have
Hmm.
some kind of business with your skill set, or be like a freelancer if you're just
Hmm.
beginning. And then
Hmm.
go to these places where women are more feminine. They still exist, and this would be spots in Central and Eastern Europe. This is like maybe like typical shit that people say, and Latin America, because they're, how do I say this? The things that I just described to these guys, you American guys, like for example, if you're talking straight body counts. So I talked earlier about this girl that gave me like this red pill moment. She was from Central Europe, and she had a very low body count, and she just said to me, "I have one boyfriend." And then she explained to me that was also the only guy she slept with. And then I thought, oh, that's actually really cool, because for me, I'm used to the American stories, and also my country now. The girls that now, for example, when they talk to me, I have to like close my ears or go to the next one, because it's
Hmm.
appalling actually, like how normalized it is for them that they think they can have 30 plus guys and it's really normal. Like they straight up say, and then what's really funny, because I like doing the math, run the numbers. Then I say, what's your age? And then it's like, yeah, you're XYZ. And then, okay, divided by the amount of years that you've been sleeping since your first book guy. And then we come up together in this epiphany moment where I keep it to myself, but she's like, oh, that's only or 5 guys in a year. That's not that much. And that is the moment when she says that, I like, you know, next, or like discard, or make
Mm-hmm.
like a note. I just make a note, okay, yeah, but there are
Uh-huh.
definitely spots out there in the world where guys who are successful can get nice feminine women, and it's possible. And you see, for example, with Tate, he reaps the benefits of being a super uber lord alpha, being fucking rich
Yeah.
and jacked and having friends. Then you get all the
Yeah.
women. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed white girls, well, I mean, almost all girls that are Americanized, the
Yes.
femininity is dropping. I think that
Yes.
in at least in what I've seen, Asian countries and in spots, girls are a lot more feminine. It's
Yeah.
almost it's just a different cultural thing. Like
Mm.
the culture in the U.S. is telling girls fucking sleep with whoever you want.
Yeah.
If you're gonna suck a dick on a Sunday and a Friday, do it. Go to the
Yeah.
club, get drunk, like do what you
Yeah.
need to do. And almost every girl that I know from 18 to 22, especially in college, in the college range, they're really, really high in drinking. They just drink a ton
Mhm.
and they sleep around all the time. And that's like all I hear about from girls. And it just makes me want to distance myself even more.
Yeah, because like let's take aside that the concept of slut and promiscuity is just a concept. Let's just take that aside.
Mm-hmm.
There's the fact for potentiality of pair bonding that gets from a chemical point of view, if you really do the deep research, is that they have more troubles the more they sleep with pair bonding. And
Yep.
let's say it's not for everybody. If you want to start a family, then if you wife up a hoe, it's gonna cause more divorces, or she's not good for the kid and stuff like that. And then if you're not unplugged or not aware or just a normal sane guy, then you just fuck this shit, and then yeah, you're fucked. You fuck this shit
Mm-hmm.
and then you're fucked, to put it bluntly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because of these chemicals at one point don't work that proper anymore in the receptors in the brain. So it's basically oxytocin. So on the longer, so first you have dopamine and serotonin. Those are like the short-term relationships. That's like between a couple of weeks and a couple of months, and then it shifts to oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin is when you give a woman a female orgasm, and then that is released. And if she has that, then she can pair bond. But if she like digged around, then the receptors that give off these chemicals, these receptors are either blunted or they need a higher dosage, either that's more dick pounding to get the
Mm-hmm.
same amount. It's like being a druggie, you need more hit. And so that's detrimental for the nuclear family and aka the society. And then we're now in this fucking clown world because we've been doing this for 50 years, and
Yeah.
it's time to like, for some guys at least, just to say fucking no to these shit and no to fatties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Almost so many girls are so just gigantic in the U.S. Like it girls aren't as they don't have as much proclivity to
Hmm.
exercise, and
Yes.
so I
Mm.
tend to notice girls are just getting so big, and there are a lot of guys are fat too. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but girls my age that you would think it'd be impossible to put on that much weight so quick, with the lockdown stocked on top of it, alcoholism stacking on top of it. Oh man, these girls are blowing up like fucking balloons.
Yeah,
It's
I can.
tough out here.
Yeah, I can feel you then, yeah, man. But like a word of solace. This is what I say also to like my Dutch friend. So we're in lockdown now. So maybe like the dick is getting hard. You're practicing semen retention and shit like that. But for young guys, it's really interesting to hear from like an older guy like me. It's like it's true when you're older. The build and they will come red pill thing is
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty true. So if you're older and you're built, they will come easier and in higher quality when you're older. So not saying that I'm there yet, so not saying that, but I see it more now than back in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
also a little bit what you said, when you're focusing on yourself and on something that you care about, you forget about a lot of things, including girls. They become less important because
Yeah.
in fact they don't help you. They just want to suck dick, and
Mm-hmm.
talk about feelings. Let's be fucking honest.
Yeah, and it's tough for me. I feel as though the more successful I get and the bigger my aspirations get, it seems like my window of girls, and maybe it'll change because I'm kind of in between of building
Yeah.
business and doing things, but my standards are so high, especially when it comes to girls that I'm trying to possibly be in a relationship with.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, for sure.
I hear guys tell me like one of the big guys on Twitter, Dan Go, he always talks about how don't get married until you're 30 at
Hmm.
least, like don't even start looking for it. Do you think that's true? Because I almost feel that I should just build my 20s and then
Yeah,
wait
that's a little bit like you're zooming in on something that I maybe thought in my head but didn't express quite fully. Like, so I can tell, like the girl that we've talked about, this like the red pill thing for me, a couple of years ago. She was more traditional. She was from Central Europe, and then you have like the Tate quote: Eastern European and Central European girls, the good ones want to marry you straight up. The bad ones just want you for money. So
Mhm.
you're either in luck or in shit, depending on who you are. So, but I wasn't ready. So this girl, she just wanted a boyfriend, and then she can sleep with one, and then if the relation goes well, she marry and kids like that, you know. So, but I wasn't ready. I didn't have like the income, and I wasn't location independent, shit like that, you know. But it made me realize that I was maybe a little bit too quick from the get go. That you only get what you can handle, you know. You're gonna get what you want when you can handle it, you know. If you're not ready for it, you can want it, and maybe you think you get it, but then you fuck it up because you're not ready, skill wise or mentality wise or whatever, you know. And it's the same with this, like what you're talking about now. We can just theorize and think about it, but trust me, for the same for me, I've let this like marriage idea a little bit go and children like that. But not that I don't want it, but I know it's not gonna happen right now, because of these things that I just explained. And but I do have it in my vision a little bit in certain time trajectories, you know, your 5-year plan, 10-year plan, something like that. So I have something to work to for the things why they say you have to have your why, you know, why I'm doing this. Like for example, if let's say I'm like the next Joe Rogan, I'm not saying that, but then I can just be on a then I can be just on a fucking beach in Bali or something, you know, and then I can be with a girl maybe there or in what I said, Central Europe, you know, shit like that. So I'm definitely thinking about those things, but the more concretized things I don't lay out, and I do filter girls for like that, you know. So it goes along with me, you know. For example, I don't like fat girls. You can be curvy or something, you know. It's good to smack the ass, but I don't want like legit like in like 2 to 3 text lines. I filter a lot out. I say, send me a photo, and I'm this is not like something dirty actually. If they do send something dirty, good, they're more into it, you know. But then sometimes they say why. Okay, there's also like a thing, but then they send it, and then I say okay, good, and then they say why. Then I say I don't date fat girls, you know, no to fatties. I say what I say on the timeline. I say I say like,
Oh, I love it, dude. I when you fucking post those pictures, oh my god, I get a laugh out of it every time because your shit is so funny. Especially the fucking no to fatties. I'm like fucking retweet that shit.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
totally on that.
yeah. I wrote something down. Like today, I saw a really funny tweet about you. Like I think it was you, like a spinning rock. We're all these crazy guys on this fucking spinning rock, right?
Uh-huh.
So, but were you on shrooms or like what was the idea behind that?
There was one time we're
Oh,
coming back to drugs. We're coming back to drugs. So I had a friend, and this was back probably 3 or 4 years ago. So not in my best mindset, but I was like, fuck it. I took acid.
yeah.
I took one drip tab of acid, and I was watching a UFC fight. It was Josh Thompson. I think his name's Thompson.
Steve Thompson, you mean?
Stephen Thompson versus Tyrone Woodley, and it was the second fight.
Yeah,
and I was,
that's a good one.
oh my god, I was fucking tripping balls, and I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, like, what it takes to step in that ring is almost the mentality that I want when I step outside my door. I want the same energy, the same enthusiasm, the same motivation, the same talent when I step out of my door and whatever I'm doing. And tell me this: do you think that you get anxiety because you put yourself at such a high level, and when you feel you don't meet that high level, which I think I put myself astronomically high, that's not even possible, and even when I don't hit that, I'm like genuinely pissed, even though logically thinking I probably can't be that astronomically great, but I believe that there's just a small portion where I can maybe get there.
Yeah. I want to say 2 things about that. So firstly, the more, how do you say, like concretized actionable advice. So I learned this from venture capitalist and startup entrepreneur mentor Leon Castillo, VC. He's on Twitter. He talks a lot about systems and peak performance. And he says, for example, what you just sketched like intuitively maybe is that most people have the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, I don't know what the A is, reasonable and time related. So that's always within, like, let's say the smart goals and systems are within a time frame of 1 week and a couple of months, maybe, or something like that, if we were going to look at it from that point. But he says you have to couple those plus what he calls stretch goals. And I think he stole that from Toyota, the founder Toyota, that you have to have what you said, immeasurable, like so big, bold, and lofty goals that it seems impossible to reach. And this is where most people fail, because they don't have one, the smart goals, and they don't have two, the stretch goals that are so far away. But what happens is that because you put goals that are so far away, you yourself have to change immeasurably in ways you hadn't thought before. That gives you skills that you become a new person, and then you come close to the stretch goals, but you don't reach it. But where you are now is significantly farther than you were before. You can equate this, for example, with lifting, or for example, you want to become a UFC champion, for example, and you train like a fucking beast. And then, to be honest, let's say I'm too old. I'm never going to become a UFC champion, but let's say that's a goal of mine. But then I'm so far ahead already because I learned so many different shit, you know. Then I thought, oh, I actually did something. I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't reach my stretch goals, but I've become something. And you do it because of your systems that you put in place, of course, like go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week, sleep well, nutrition. Those are systems, you know, habits, rituals, shit like that.
Right.
And the second thing that I want to say, you use the word anxiety. So for me, anxiety comes from uncertainty. The brain does not like what is uncertain. So let's say, for example, how am I going to monetize a 100K Twitter account or something? You know, I'm not there yet. But let's say that's like an anxiety, you know. The only way to close this anxiety is with competence. From competence, you breed confidence. And competence comes from doing the work. This actually like the actionable shit. So closing the gap between you and your goal is the shortcut. It's not a shortcut to overcoming anxiety. You only overcome anxiety by preparing, by reading up what you're doing, you know, like how am I gonna build a business? If you just overthink it, then it's just constantly ruminating in your head. It has zero use. You overthink it once, you overthink it till death, then you come up with the solutions, and then you write it down, and then you revisit it later, like, hey, I thought about it, it's not working. Then you can iterate on it with the new feedback loop or the new data that you got from your current situation. And then you keep doing this within your smart systems and keep iterating. This is an art as it is a science, but yeah.
And I didn't really believe that success was possible. Again, I think everyone goes through those times, like we were talking about with the heartbreak, and that kind of changes you as a person when it comes to seeing girls and seeing the way they work. When I started lifting, I honestly, I didn't even think that I would get jacked. I was like, I'm probably not going to gain any weight. It's probably going to be a waste of time. But it was a time in my life where I dropped out of high school. I had really nothing going for me. And this was probably around 15 or 16 when I was starting to change a little bit, but I was still just kind of confused. And I didn't have the right thinking. But I started going to the gym, and I went about 3 months, almost every day straight for 3 months. And I got pretty much no results. And I was thinking to myself, what am I doing wasting my time? Like, this is just the biggest waste of time. So I quit for like another few months. And then I thought to myself, am I just gonna fucking give up that easy? I don't even know what I'm doing. So how do I expect to gain muscle that quick? I got to go back and try it again. So I was hitting the gym twice a day, 7 days a week. So I was fucking just hitting it. And everything I was doing was surrounded by the gym. Since I dropped out of high school, I had nothing else to do. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to train all day. I'm going to sleep and I'm going to eat. That's the only thing I'm going to do. And within 3 months, that's when that big transformation happened again with the thread on my Twitter. And I had friends that were also in the gym that have been in there for multiple years, and they were thinking I was on steroids. They were thinking all these things. And I thought, okay, like, I finally made it. I finally got to the point where I'm actually making progress and I'm actually looking good. And that's where I think a switch flipped, where I knew if I put time into something, if I research something, and if I really, really want something, then it's possible. And I never really thought that before. Did you get to that point? Because Twitter was the same thing. I thought, okay, I'm going to tweet. No one's going to follow me. I'm going to be speaking into an echo chamber, but you know, at least I'm trying.
Yeah, I think from a physicality point of view, like, physicality is a manifestation of the will. It's a famous tweet that I probably stole. But so in typical like human sense, it's you believe what you see. And there's no greater belief changer or identity changer than transforming your body. That's why it works so good for boys and men who are lost or whatever, to come back to your body and see that you are both, this quote, both sculptor and marble at the same time. If you pound at your body and you see your work reaping real tangible results, then you get the belief that more is possible, if not anything, depending on, you know, how crazy results you get. But you get this like belief, like, hey, I banked an X amount of time and my fucking bicep grew. I see this almost like a caveman logic, like, hey, this makes sense now. And then they think, if I pound on Twitter, for example, if I pound on Twitter, I get followers. So if I keep punching this shit, it's a little bit like those things, you know. And that's why, for example, um, you have to measure and track. You know, what gets measured gets mastered. You know,
Mm.
and yeah, you have to do a lot of thinking, especially with the solopreneur shit. You have to do a lot of self-tracking of your shit to see where you're going, if not if you're going anywhere at all. You know, while if you're a more wagey type person, you don't need to track that much. Your senior or manager does it, and you just get paid. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but especially when you have almost like an empty field, which is more the entrepreneurial side and building business. It's so vast, so dark. You have to like know a little bit where you're going, or you have to talk with the guys. Hey, do you think what's up there? You know, can you help me a little bit? And then they maybe lead you the wrong way or whatever. But then you have an idea. You know.
Mm-hmm. When you were growing your Twitter,
Yeah, we can talk about it.
how was that process of growing it? Because I'm kind of
Yeah.
I'm kind of going through the thing where I'm trying to figure out exactly what works, and not that followers is the end all be all, but it's a big part of just growing it and getting bigger in the community.
Yeah. So I actually like, was funny. Like there was this guy. He, I don't want to like be one of those credit hoggers, but because of me, he was under 1,000. I gave him the tips that all the money Twitter gurus use to grow, and he's now 3,000. And he recently came up to the realization through a tweet. I didn't say anything, whatever. But and I'm also not like, hey bro, I got you to 3K. I don't give a fuck. But he said, oh, now that I have this much follower, I realized it wasn't really what I wanted when I had 800 followers. So when I read that, I really resonated with me, because like it can be your downfall if you focus too much. Like for me, like this lofty 10K, for example, you know. But I want to share a little bit my mindset about that. So when I first started out, I had no interest in growing because I didn't think nobody was going to listen to me, you know? So, but then I started seeing a couple of guys like Benjamin, Garrett Daly, and Logo. They picked me up, what I call. They put me in this world. It was because of them I saw these type of people that they were growing their account. And monkey sees, monkey do, you know? And then I smelled, hey shit, I want a 10K account as well. This is typical human nature. Your mind is actually what I call empty. It's really at peace at itself. But once you see something, it comes in your mind and makes you think you're lacking something. You know, there's this hole. I need to get a 10K account now. So, and then you have to satiate this hole by actually getting it. And now I'm here. And what I want to say from it, once you reach a goal, you're satiated for this first second or like a state, then you reach it. And I knew it was not going to happen like a lot of times. So I journaled on it. And then I realized what I actually wanted. I wanted actually a sense of pride from myself and people that I care about, but maybe never will get. And in the sense, I have to be proud of myself. And that can actually be with anything. So you can be proud of yourself, but you have to make yourself proud. You cannot make yourself proud, let's say, if you don't give a fuck about painting, you know. Let's say you don't really hate that shit, but you're gonna do that. You're never gonna make yourself proud with that. No knock on artists, for example, but I have a painter friend. It makes him like super proud probably if he finishes a masterpiece, you know. And for me, I think it's finding what you limbically care about and then doing it. Like now, every time now I see the 10K, I get such an energy from it because it took so much ridiculous amount of time. I see it now, and I don't actually give a fuck about anybody else. Then it's just for me that gives me this higher energy that I can then give back. You know, I just retweet some random guys sometimes, like for the fuck of it. You know, and sometimes shout out people. Maybe they get something of it. And as to the monetization, what I want to say, there are multiple things at play. You know, there are like these niche pages or shit like that. And definitely what we talked earlier, I think maybe before the recording, because I'm so versatile, like what you said, when I tweet something, I'm here, but the next tweet is way over there.
Yep.
hard to monetize this. So definitely what I was thinking about these last days is actually what I gained from Twitter is the people I met. Just you, for example, just now. Or I'm doing like a podcast with War on Weakness, Eddie, or my good friend Aftoited. I went to his fucking wedding, you know. That was like so strange, you know. Like you meet a guy like on the Bird app, you know, on Twitter, and the next couple months later, you're at his fucking wedding, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that
And
that is for me then the more the merit, you know, like
right. And so exactly what you point out, you think you're going to grow your Twitter, and again, the monetization's cool, selling different shit and trying to figure out what works is really
yeah,
cool. But the networking is the biggest thing. So many people have changed my mind. Like just this conversation,
Mhm.
it's going to change a ton on just the way I see the world and I see different
yeah,
things and how I'm able to move in the world. And I
yeah,
have other friends that I've met who have given me financial advice that's been fantastic. I don't even really know these people, but I start to develop a connection, and it's almost more of a friendship than I have with friends in
yes,
real life, because you point out when you find someone in your niche that's kind of on the same page as you get connected really quick, and it's so
yeah.
interesting to talk to those people.
Yeah, they smell no, they see your thoughts 24/7. I have
Mhm.
this thing, they probably know you better than your spouse, you know?
Mhm.
It's so uncanny because they see you 24/7, and it's also because of this you're in the trenches together. There's this Russian saying, same mud, same blood. It means if you've gone through the same dirt together, basically where we are now, and if you crawl together, you're almost like blood together. It's
Mhm.
this with the Twitter people. It's just it's so different. You don't see these people on the fucking streets, you know? If I could
Mhm.
have that, then I'd have it. But you know, there's no light without darkness, you know, because of all these fucking NPCs, I get to have this. And yeah, it's so strange. Like what you just said now about financial advice and stuff like that. I don't want to like dox him or something, but recently, like I come to like some types of people who give me such insane advice, and some of them are my peers, but they're so fucking successful at life that I don't want to pedestalize them. But it's like what we are talking about the mentors, you know, when the student's ready, the master will appear. It's something like that with Twitter. So Twitter is like an arena. If you put yourself out there in the arena in the shape that you are, somebody will spot it.
Mhm.
And for what you are at that point of moment in your life, somebody equated to that will come and join you or give you advice or depending on who you are. And that's what I love. And especially now that I'm more like 10K, I'm more in the spotlight. So if I have certain skills that I talk about or something, then I will get a DM, you know? For example, this is more about the girls and the game then. Like oh, yesterday I posted like the Paris Hilton photo again. I do that from
Mhm.
time to time to fuck with people. But
Uh-huh.
then I got a DM from a guy who I almost never talk with. I follow him and stuff like that. But he was just suddenly opening up to me. Hey, I fucked a girl who looked like Paris Hilton too, you know? And we were just talking about that. But this guy, for example, would never talk to me about girls, let's say 5 years ago, if I was not putting myself in this context or this light, this color, you know,
Mhm.
in the arena. If you put yourself as a salesman, as a rider or a lifter, you will color yourself like in that shape, and then somebody will see it and then think, hey, this is a special dude, let me help him, you know.
Mhm.
And that's how you get these fucking mentors actually. Like some guys, like they saw like I had some skills or something, and then they like talk with me, and I'm saying like, dude, you don't have to like talk to me, you know. And they're like, you know.
And that's what I think is interesting with Twitter is you get these people with big followings, and you think that they're
Oh,
almost like that. They have that too cool for school vibe, but I never get that from anyone. Everyone, it's almost like the bigger the followers, the nicer they are, and the more open they are to talk and be friendly.
yeah, so there's definitely like a dichotomy. Like I definitely want like an underrated tip. Like there are a lot of like high powerful ballers who have a really small follower account. This is like a small tip to you guys. So don't be one of those guys that is only looking for big followers and thinking that person has value. You will be
Hmm.
sadly mistaken because some of those guys have been talking to me, and that's why I talk to everybody, you know. But it's really annoying because you don't also have to filter out those fucking egg avatars and those weirdos who say weird shit. If
Oh
this is you
God.
again, they say I will not say what they say, but just weird stuff. But then also there are like these people who are like a little bit Twitter, they have Twitter NUA, like they get bored of it and then they block easily who has a low following. They just can't be bothered, you know. Some
Hmm.
accounts like that exist, and for me, when I got like bigger, I just started blocking people again because like they're saying bullshit, you know. And but it's definitely I think you become better at smelling what I call like the digital trace. Like for example, if I saw you when you were under 1K account, I say, hey, Gladiator, this guy has a cool name, he looks jacked, he put time into himself, and he says he wants in the fitness niche. Then I just like a few tweets or say something on his tweets. You play around a little bit. It's like playing poker, like texting, you know? That's how I do it. Like sometimes I click some tweets and then somebody will send me a DM and then it starts, you know? If it
Yeah.
nothing comes of it, I forget about you or you about me, whatever, you know? All cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's touch and go.
When you started tweeting, because I think there's a shift, you go from like 100 followers to 1K, and then there's almost like a shift in the way you tweet, and then I'm sure it just gets different the more you gain followers. Did you, when you were cultivating your tweets, and here's the one thing that I'm kind of at odds with, I'm a fitness guy and like kickboxing and nutrition, whatever, but I really like to think about things and just put different thoughts and ideas out there. And I wonder, like I bought some Twitter course that was, you know, it was pretty good. It was only like $20 or whatever, but it was good. And it was pretty much talking about how tweet what your followers want to hear, not what you want to say. And I kind of have a weird feeling about that because I kind of like tweeting what I want to say.
So between 0 and 1,000 followers, I just had this energy and this what's just my personality, you know. I can't remember really well what I tweeted, but it was more what I just wanted to talk about. But it could be really, but it wasn't sculptured. It wasn't fine-tuned. I wasn't the same person because this was give or take 3 years ago. But then around 1,000 followers, I saw these like money Twitter guys, you can call them, that picked me up through like retweeting and stuff like that. Then they put you in these stupid follow lists, and then you get in these group chats. That's garbage. But as I grew as a human being, and I think it was this year, it was like a benchmark for me. The beginning of this year I was 3,000 followers, and then the lockdown came. This is what happened actually. So the first lockdown for me came, and I was a little bit bored, and I thought, hey, wait a minute. For me, I have something what I call the archive. So we were talking about the train everything mindset that I had a long time ago. So I don't know if this is illegal to say this, but I have a lot of like, I acquired, you know, like ebooks on the internet, you know, a long time ago, because I was in the POA kind of thing. And those guys were reading a lot of stuff. But I have like the archive, which is like, it's so much, man, so much ebooks and knowledge. It's too much. Anyway, and also like notes and like so many ideas and shit like that. So I opened this thing up and I opened my scheduler. It wasn't Hype Fury back then, another one. But I just started writing, almost like quoting or tweeting what I had, who was the old me actually. And then people started liking it, and then it hit me. They said, hey, this is a Fury I've never seen before. Then I thought, what the fuck? I just opened a thing that was 10 years old, and then you're saying, this is not Fury. And then I looked a little bit. I was talking a little bit, maybe too much about alcohol or whiskey, or I don't know what they think about me. There's some kind of image. But then it was a click. I was not giving them the full facets of what I like to talk about. Then I really started to make like a list. What do I talk about? And, you know, what turned out, I like to talk about 50 million things. I had this fucking list. I thought, oh, wait, shit. I talk about too many things. And then I hear these things, and it's always been a balance for me, like what does the audience want to hear versus what do I want to talk about. Sometimes I have like 2 to 3 thoughts, and I only tweet 1 or 2, you know, if it's too personal, or, you know, to something, let's say Suits is the greatest television show on the planet or something. I can maybe think that, but I won't tweet it, you know. But sometimes I do, depending on the mood. Or I would, for example now, or I would pull from it. Harvey Specter is a good character if you want to thrive in sales. The way he uses this poker mentality and philosophy on life, and the way he executes it in his closing is really interesting to look at if you want to learn for sales. Something like that, you know? So I got the more tweeting mindset, you know? I distill something of it and then put it out in a more fleshed out, fine-tuned tweet. And this is what we talked about. I like writing, so I definitely see more that I've become a better writer through Twitter, you know, bless Twitter for that as well. And it's a feedback loop, because what I do now, I screenshot my own fucking tweets that I like, put them in a fucking folder, Then if I have no inspiration, I open that folder and then I basically tweet almost the same thing, but maybe word it differently, or it sparks a new idea. And so my feed is always fury. No, I can kid you not. If you go into it, nobody can tweet that without thinking, hey, you stole from him, or hey, this guy's been hanging with him or something like that, you know. So I definitely have what you have, like Landon. You want it to be you, you know. You don't. I don't give a fuck about like tweeting like Ajak or Jose Rosado or I don't know. I don't want to be them, you know. I think it's like a personality thing because my whole life I wanted to be me, you know. And it's finding the chance that I can be me. Nobody's gonna fucking take this away from me, you know. It's like that.
Yeah, I'll be in the shower. It's like you talk about the feedback loop.
Yeah.
I'll be tweeting all morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll get in the shower, and it's just I'm still thinking. Like I'm thinking in tweet form. I'm thinking, what else can I say?
Addictive as fuck. Yeah.
I'm taking things. I'm breaking them apart, and it's almost some things I tweet about. It's so detailed. I'm pulling it apart so thin that there's like nothing left even there because I'm trying to drain. I'm trying to squeeze out any information I can think or put together with it.
Yeah, I like the Tao mindset.
Exactly, and one of the things that I also found problematic with Twitter, some people are just leeches. Like they act nice, and then it's almost like they pull a wool over your face, and it just really surprises you. I had one guy. I'm not going to give his name out. He was at about 800 followers.
Yeah.
And he wanted to hop on a call and talk to me about Twitter. And I was like, oh, fuck it. All right, I'll hop on a call real quick. Okay. So I talked to him for like 30, 40 minutes. And I'm not like a real big information guy, but I was just giving this guy any kind of information I thought of with Twitter when it comes to growing and how to cultivate an audience and just whatever I knew. Not that my Twitter is big, but just like what I've figured out that works. Yeah. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And so he started up like a little fitness thing. And I think he had another friend who was starting up a fitness thing, and they both followed me. And they were talking to me a little bit. And then a few weeks go by, and this dude is growing his Twitter. I think he's at like 3,000 now, but he was growing it. And then he unfollowed me. And then he just completely like stopped communicating with me at all. And I thought it was so weird. I hopped on a phone call with this dude. I was talking to him, but then all of a sudden he unfollows me, and then he gets this like grandiose feeling where, oh, you know, I've learned from that guy. Now it's on to bigger and better. It's like they're trying to monkey branch almost.
Yeah. What's funny, maybe it's the same guy that we're talking about, by the way. Because he now has 3,000 and back then he had 800. But let me not call his name. But I think for the guy that was on me, that was his personality. He was a little bit more, how do I say this? More calculative, you know? Let's call it that, calculative. So, but also, how do you say, like, I think also like in terms of karma, those people are going to find themselves in certain types of way. But what I found, like, what I don't like is that in these like Twitter growth guys, they say to comment on your shit, you know?
And it's just fake as fuck.
That's what I don't like. It's like, bro, you can just respond normally to what I just said, you know, if you want to do that, you know? And I can just see how inauthentic it is, because if I scroll through my home feed for the people that I follow, I don't want to say everything and anything to everyone, you know? Today, like, Pike just tweeted something about McDonald's. Then I said, hey, I like that too. You know, it wasn't even to make the comment, but it was just, hey, I like that food too, you know? I'm not, but all the other tweets before that were maybe good tweets, but I'm not gonna like say something random for the sake of commenting, for the sake of growing. I'm not gonna lie, I maybe did that once or twice, but it got so tiring, and I thought, fuck this shit, fuck my life.
And in the course that I bought, it goes, you know, maybe throw 5 to 10 tweets out a day and try and interact with as many people as possible, 50 to 100 interactions a day. And I thought to myself, if I do that, people are going to want to fucking unfollow me because I'm just throwing out bullshit like, oh yeah, good tweet, I agree, or oh, great tweet, you know, your writing is stupendous. It just seems so fake. And just
what you can definitely, at least what I found is that I like to talk about neuroscience and the mind. So sometimes, I think it's because of my vibe, some people comment on, hey Fury, I think this and that, you know, maybe you like this philosophy or this mental model or this framework. And then I just ask them a question again. What do you mean by that? And then some really interesting conversations come up with that. So from a bigger account or even a smaller account, I do that, you know? If I see something about psychology or something like that, say, hey, I read this book and they said this, and what do you think about that? And those are the type of comments that I like. A little bit like this, but in mini tweet form. And yeah, but these days I don't have a lot of time for those things, but that's the way I would do it, you know? And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the one. Another thing about Twitter is with the stuff you put out, some people have a hard time understanding it because, as I've talked about in like other people, when you're talking, there's tonality,
Yes.
and like in person, in person, there's you see the body language,
Mm-hmm.
you hear tonality, and there's a lot of other cues you can pick up on.
Yeah.
With Zoom, it's similar, but
Mm-hmm.
again, since we're not like close to each other, I can kind of see a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't have as many cues.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to texting or tweeting, you have even less cues to understand something. So I'll put out information like men prefer. Let's just using that as an example. Feminists got fucking pissed at me for throwing this tweet out. How men prefer girls with long hair, and some girl goes, oh, you know, or no, here's what I said. Long hair is important for guys because when a guy sees a girl with long hair, it means that they've been able to cultivate a time period within 4 years about where they've been growing their hair, and it's if it's long, it's healthy. They can tell all that, and it's a good sign of health. And so this girl, like multiple girls, commented, "Oh, hair doesn't mean health. I had long hair and I was fucking dying, blah blah blah." And I go, it's relative. Like I'm tweeting this out and I'm generalizing, and they can't pick up on those nuances that I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
Like you'll tweet something and people have to go, "Oh, I'm not like that," and you go, "Dude, I'm like it's a generalization. Most people are like this. If you're the only person that's not like that, then that's good. That's cool."
Yeah.
Fantastic.
From those people, what's really you mentioned social cues. It reminds me of text game. You become really attuned to it. So when I see somebody who mentions the outlier to a generalization, what they want to do, they want to nitpick. And that indicates that one, they either don't like, for example, me now, like the big follower account, they want to dick with me. That's my first gut now. Secondly, if you're like just a normal dude, it just means they don't want to vibe with you. And then I'm already like in real life, if this was happening, I'm not a gregarious person in the bar because of this, for example. When you know, they say like game, you have to be really gregarious and love everybody in the bar. When somebody does this to me in the bar, I say I sometimes don't even excuse myself. I just walk away if somebody does that because I can hear in their tonality. Same now, like social cue. They just want to make you an example. Sometimes also with a little bit lacism because I'm Asian. Sometimes, you know, a little bit like that. But I'm really like how do you say, susceptible for these things. I just sniff it out, you know. And then these days I have the block power. In real life, you can't block it, so you just walk away, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I easily deal with women in bars or clubs who want to like just tease me for the sake of teasing. The whole night, even if it's the fucking hottest girl in the whole joint for the whole night, I won't talk with you. Like there was this girl standing at me, just smiling after she did something stupid. I just ignored her. Like I talked to all the other girls, and she was like, "Oh, I fucked it over with this guy. He's not gonna talk to me again." Yeah, you know, it's the same on Twitter. If you do something stupid, I'll be like, "Okay, that was dumb." Block. You can never read all my tweets again or all my other friends. Like, yeah, done.
Yeah, I just don't play with that. Like you can tell of those things, and again with girls that are just a little on the sluttier side, or they're just a little.
Yeah.
Some girls are so open. I think we talked about before we were recording, but how a girl will just you'll be hanging out with her. You think she's a cool girl, and then all of a sudden she'll just say like, "Oh yeah, I sucked 5 dicks, you know, the other month," and you're like, "Whoa, shit, all right." Oh,
bro, eye opening for me. Like, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I went on a date with this girl, and she said the sentence, "Yeah, I had a foursome," as if she so casually, as if she said, "Yeah, I just had breakfast this morning." I had to keep a straight face like this, man. In my head, I was like, you know, sometimes you have these memes or guys who are like really funny or something. I have to make a face. In my head, I was like that, but in my face, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
And you just knew right away, I'm not talking to this person anymore. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, you know, yeah. The story actually got funnier, you know, but it's just that's how I then vet them, you know. Then I know I can't take you that seriously in terms of, you know. And then you also have the thing like, yeah, it's hypocrite, but a guy can sleep with a lot of girls. Then I have to explain them that no, I don't have to, but in my head think, is it worth it to explain it? You know, is it worth it?
Oh yeah, it's like you ever seen that meme where that dude's at like some baseball game and he's like talking to his girl and people make memes about how the guy's explaining like this long theory or whatever. I feel like that's me. A girl will talk about something, especially when it comes to evolutionary psychology or whatever.
Yeah, I
She'll
know
mention
that meme.
and in my mind, I'm just fucking brewing with 1,000 words I'm trying to spew out, and I'm thinking, is this worth it? Should I even explain this? Probably not.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so about it.
yo, bro. It reminds me like this girl that I'm seeing like recently. So I feel some are like what I call like hidden gems, or like their programming like ruined them a little bit. They would have been more
Mhm.
feminine if they would have been left to their own devices, you know. But what? So the big question came something like, what are we? You know. So not to make it too personal, or but I had to explain her a little bit what I am looking for in terms of vetting without making it sound in her programming lexicon too misogynistic. And I couldn't even, if I was like almost like Lobo mode, I would say multiple girls, zero compromise, something like that, almost like in a tweet form, but then verbalized, you know. But
Mhm.
I had to really go out of my way, and I was thinking the whole time I was talking because it was so fucking late. We had so much to drink. I was like, "Is it worth it?" But it was a kind of sweet girl, and we have like a good click. That's it, you know. Like, so I just tried to make it nuanced and try to explain her to a little bit. Like, I don't really play like other guys, and I'm influenced by other guys who think more like this. You know, try to like broach it more in like a nuanced way, and I think she got it a little bit, but you know, you can, you know, I feel you 100%. Like I was like, what the fuck did I just say the whole time? You know, because then the time after she was like, oh, you're definitely not like a monogamous type of guy, and I was like, okay, yeah, you got that angle right, or you know, and
Mhm.
or you oh, and then she said you have a child's desire. I was like, it's not that I have a child's desire, but you know, blah blah blah, you know.
Mhm.
So she picked up some stuff, but yeah, you know, like
What with girls? Here's like the hardest thing is you think they're gonna think like a guy or have the same thought process, but it's so vastly different. When I talk to my girlfriends, they are just on a whole nother spectrum of thinking. It's really really hard for me. Again, they're a little bit more emotional, and for me, I tend to try and only be logical because growing up, I was around a lot of people,
yeah,
especially in my family, who were super emotional. Like
mm,
they would just flip a switch instantly, and it's just like all emotions.
mm,
And that's helped me to develop my personality where I look at things, I'm calm, I'm logical. The only
mm-hmm,
thing I'm really emotional with is just intensity. Like I like to be intense and I like to
yeah,
figure things out. But for the most part, I'm logical. And reading into more evolutionary psychology, what I found interesting was courtship gifts. So the reason a girl wants a diamond, there's no intrinsic value in a diamond, right?
no,
Like a diamond's not like a car where you can fucking sell it off and you can do anything with it. It's not going to do anything except sit there. But girls like that because it's a long-term investment. If I buy a $10,000 ring for a girl, that girl goes, okay, not only does he have enough money to blow on this ring that doesn't do
yeah,
anything, but he's investing in me to that degree.
yeah,
So I must feel some type of way for him if he's able to do that for me. And
yeah,
same thing with flowers. Flowers, there's no intrinsic value. They die after fucking 2 days. They don't do shit. But girls like them because it shows that a guy's willing to waste 50, $100, 200, however much a bouquet of flowers is in
yeah.
another year.
This is a good example, by the way. Talking about womanese, by the way, like this girl that I'm seeing, she just out of nowhere told me a story about flowers, but breaking through the womanese, she actually meant what Landon said. You know, she wanted to
Mhm.
show that flowers are a sign of investment, but she didn't know how to explain it. So she just told a joke about flowers and which one are pretty. It was a good joke,
Mhm.
actually, but she actually meant what you said. So for the guys listening, if a woman out of nowhere, suddenly comes up with, she actually means this, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah.
Everything
Yo,
a
bro,
girl
wait,
talks
I
about.
just wrote down. You talked. I think it's the third time you mentioned the word evolutionary psychology. So I think 10 years ago I was a huge fan of it. And there's this guy who has these great books. I'm gonna send you a recommendation. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was
Mhm.
like the goat for me of evolutionary psychology. That everything through this mental model can be explained by macaque apes and rhesus monkeys. They do the same shit as we do, and it's really fascinating how that applies to life. I'm gonna send you some book recommendations.
Oh yeah, go ahead and send over. The one book that I went through, I think I got a suggestion from a friend. It's called Why Beautiful People Have More Daughters, and it's pretty much all about evolutionary psychology. And I read this book in like a day because it was so interesting. You know when and again with books, the information that you're digesting, it has to be interesting. I cannot read a book that's about fucking
Yeah.
like astrophysics or something that I just don't understand or don't
Yeah.
really like. Have you ever read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's another good book that it was kind of not really as much evolutionary psychology, but it was more so almost like evolutionary biology or it's similar to that. And it was so complex that I read it all. It was a huge book, but I really didn't understand any of it,
Yeah.
even though I
So it got
enjoyed
boring.
it. But yeah, but this one, it just I've read it in like a day or two just because it was so interesting, and I feel like I was learning so much.
Yeah, I definitely have that.
Go ahead and send
So
that book over though. I'm fucking always looking for different books to
yeah, no,
buy.
I think you'll love this because for me, like there's some what I call like guys are like pioneers. You associate the guy who broached the subject to you as the goat. He's not the goat, but you see his name, you know? Something like, for
Mhm.
example, like I said, Leon Castillo introduced like more like peak performance to me and mental models and stuff like that. Well, and this guy, but when I was younger, I thought a lot in evolutionary psychology. It's a good one. I think he's an Italian name, so I can spell it out for the audience. Excuse me. Maybe I'll put it in a link on YouTube. You know. But
Mhm.
what I wanted to ask you is, when you were younger, you said you dropped out of high school. You know. So and now
Mhm.
you're 21. So you're definitely not going to college then, I think. Or
Fuck
what's the
that.
situation?
Fuck that.
Elaborate a
So, again, an interest of mine has always been business. My dad was an entrepreneur,
bit.
and that's what kind of gave me the idea of, oh, this is possible. So
Yeah.
again, I was never good in school. My brother, I have one brother who's 23, and he's the brainiac, right? He was the one in school who was always getting good grades, got the
Cool.
scholarship for college, did all that.
Yeah.
For me, I dropped out again about 15, 16, and I got my GED right away. I was going to the GED school. It was so funny to be around other people in the GED school because it was a bunch of people who are not very smart and not on the same
Hmm.
path as me. But I got my GED really quick, and I was straight in the workforce. I've had so many jobs now just because I've been in and out of different things, and because I had mentors and different.
Yeah.
I had different options with the people that I knew in my social network. I worked a job called Logo Mark, and it was this big company that was a manufacturing company. My boss was a 35-year-old. It was a Jewish guy. His dad was the CEO of the company.
Hmm.
They have most of their companies are out of China, and and working there, it was one of the biggest learning experiences for me
Hmm.
because I was able to see how a big business ran and the behind the scenes of it.
Yeah.
I was hired on through funny enough, it was a those businesses that are pretty much just for hiring. I can't remember what they're exactly called.
Like recruiting stuff.
Right. So I was recruited on through that. And you know when fidget spinners were really big, the fucking thing you spin?
A lot of moolah
That's
was made there.
Oh, dude, I was coming in at like 6 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and that's all I was making because we were manufacturing.
Okay.
We'd put the fidget spinner down and we print these caps on it.
Yeah.
And my boss was a guy who wasn't really a school guy either. He was kind of crazy. He'd come to work, he'd be fucking drunk or he'd be
Yeah.
like fucked up on edibles. And he had a beach house. He wanted me to bring girls over, and I was like, fuck it, dude, I could bring girls over. And I was working at this company for so long because my boss was that Jewish guy, and he just loved me. And
Mhm.
because I'd bring girls to his place, and we'd go to the clinic and buy weed and smoke fucking weed during like the breaks, and it gave me such a good just understanding of business.
Yeah.
I never liked school because tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
With school, on percentage wise, how much of the stuff have you learned that you think you still use today?
Yeah. You're talking about
Like,
the utility of the knowledge, right?
right, I use maybe 10% of the things I've learned in school, like just like basic arithmetic,
Yeah.
basic English. That's about all I use. Everything else is just out the window.
And I can touch upon this because, in my opinion, you made then, for you, seemingly a riskier move, but the smarter move for you to make a clean break faster. For me,
Mhm.
I went to university, so I took a lot of courses which were qualitatively, mathematically difficult, and were good courses. But then, after I got to the job related to the degree thing, and I had to start over almost. I had to learn new things on the job, which I'm fine with. So I'm basically tested for my skill set to learn and, how gregarious you are, how sociable, shit like that, whatever. But then it was just like you said, Landon. I was thinking, why the fuck then did I spend so many fucking hours and years on things that I'm not using? What is the fucking logic there, people? If I'm gonna get this job, then train me how to do that job from the get-go. Maybe make a course or a segue to become a trainee, and then train me faster to be that guy. I don't have to take all those fucking courses. And I'm thinking now, if I spend all those fucking hours on copywriting, sales, or all the things that get pushed on Twitter, I'd be not a millionaire. I'm not saying that, but I'd be definitely something else, because I studied hard, man. So when people talk about the university and stuff like that, especially it's not liked in these circles where I'm from, in the normie type of things, and got me a little bit like like a mini beefs with colleagues. I said, yeah, this degree is fucking garbage. While I was behind my laptop. The degree that you got, that we got, is fucking garbage, man. I was one of those guys. I was definitely like a rebel. That's what they hated in me. But nah, man, I don't like that. I don't like it. If let's say you want to become a bodybuilder, you follow a bodybuilder guy. He trains you the fuck out, and then you become that guy. Next, it's fucking logic.
And school, like you point out, you get in jobs. Every job that I've been in, and I'm young, I'm relatively young, but I've had so many jobs just because I've been out of high school for so long. And because I've had so many different jobs, I get that there's a different skill set, there's a different learning curve for every job.
For sure.
And nothing I really learned, like let's say, if I want to be an engineer, let's say if I want to be a petroleum engineer,
yeah,
I can
I'm an engineer, by the way.
Are you really?
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that about me. So people on the HOOA Fury podcast, I'm an engineer. Yeah, but go on.
Oh,
yeah.
What type of engineering were you in?
Structural engineering. So my specialty was concrete, and basically I can still do it, but I made buildings, bridges, sluices, and people don't know this about me. I brag about this a lot. It gets some pussy wet, like 4 ports in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Go on. Yeah. You want to be an engineer? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so when you get the engineer degree, the petroleum engineer degree, you get it, you go to the job, and sure, you know the basics, right? They taught you the basics in the degree, but every business model is different. Every business runs differently. Some businesses have different machinery that you got to work with, and so it changes. The varying degree of changes are so vast throughout different jobs.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about degrees. And I got duped. And luckily, I didn't go to college and get duped all the way, but I feel like I got duped because I didn't know how to do my taxes. I didn't know how to run my finances, how to invest, how to go into stocks, mutual funds, IRAs. I recently learned in the United States, there's a sales tax for cars. If I register an LLC out of Montana, Montana is the only place, I think one of the only places that doesn't have a sales tax. So I can register an LLC out of Montana and then use that to purchase a car. And that's what a lot of millionaires use to get over the sales tax. And it's like, why am I not being taught this in school? Where's all this information?
And this is why I always assume that the people higher up don't want people to succeed because of these things, or else it would have been more curated. As also what you just said is, let's group it in financial literacy. They don't do it as well in my country. Just teach a fucking 5-year-old this. It's not that hard. Okay, not 5, but you know what I mean. But they do it on purpose. And then what you're stuck with, no offense, is you're stuck with a teacher who didn't also make it that big. What do they say? Like, let's say we get rich and we make like lots of money. You're gonna get your kid go to public school, get it trained by some dumb guy who only makes like 1K or 2K net. No disrespect on how much he makes, but what does he know about making it big in life? Nothing. He knows nothing. That's what they set us up with. And as you go further, of course, like I went to like a good university, so they taught me how to be an engineer. But what I don't like, especially how versatile I am, they didn't teach me to be successful in networking or girls and stuff like that. And there should be more holistic approach, or even something specific. Let's say somebody wants to be a musician, and I don't know, the system just doesn't work in my opinion.
No, not at all.
I don't like shitting on it too much, but it's not a good system. That's just.
I love shitting on it because I find it to be so distasteful, especially that I haven't been out of school that long. I've
Yeah.
only been out for about 4 or 5 years now, but just it angers me that again, I feel like I've been duped. There's so many
Yeah.
young guys that are getting out of school and they're thinking, someone tweeted about, and I completely agree with this tweet. You go straight out of high school and they expect you to instantly know what you want to do the rest of your life.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know what I want to do? How do I know what my skills are?
Yeah.
I've only been this whole time, so I don't know. Maybe I want to be a fucking petroleum engineer. Maybe I fucking suck cock at it. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I might not be good at it. So how do I know I want to do that for the rest of my life?
Yeah, it's also like what you said, that you have to make that decision fast,
Mm-hmm.
And then what I learned recently is that when you enter a new arena, so to say, a new sector, you have to have a fast iteration or fast feedback loop. But if you make a career choice or go to college or something like that, the trajectory is so long that before you get a feedback, in my opinion, that you're doing something good or wrong, it's so long. The trajectory is too long. For me, it took too long. I almost took also like the career red pill. It took so long for me to go to school, to university, and then finally get that job. That was at the job. I was miserable as fuck. I can go on and on about that. That's maybe one day I'm gonna do like a solo podcast if I'm like on a sunny beach, far away from this shit, and then tell the origin story like a fucking 2-hour podcast, like just smoking, just solo. But I found out so late. If somebody would say, "Nah, Fury, that's not for you. Go make a podcast when you're 16," I'll be like, "How do you do that? Why would it be for me?" If I would say that to my past me, I don't have regrets. I don't like to think about these things, but it just doesn't work. So something, it's not effective. It's dumb.
Yeah. I think that I've been taught so wrong, not only in like scholastic terms,
Mhm.
but like with girls. You watch these movies about how these guys, and most movies, especially in the U.S., it's just these dudes are fucking pussies. Like they're girls crying and they're like, "Oh, what can I do? Like, do you want me to go get you fucking flowers and chocolate?"
Yeah, this is what I call Disney pill.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I was reading about it through Rollo Tomasi's. What
Mhm.
really it's like I had shades on, and it's
Yeah.
that's the best example of it, because you don't see it until you finally read about it and you go, aha. That's why, like with
Mhm.
the person you think, the soulmate idea, how there's a person that's perfectly for you, and that person's you're gonna be with the rest of your life, and things gonna be fucking hunky dory, everything's gonna be fine. But that's a total lie. You have to vet girls. You have to see what works with girls. And when you get in a relationship, you have to really fine tune the relationship.
Yeah. I think I am said it. Guard investment as if it's like a fucking like a jewel safe in your heart. Guard investment, shoot that shit because they want that, and you decide who, like when the cage opens. Like, it's really important, man. And like I sometimes it goes again. How do you say, it goes badly maybe, but when I have like a younger cousin or something, when we go to the movies, I think it was Spider-Man Far From Home, and Peter, like, he's the ultimate simp for Mary Jane, and he does everything wrong in this movie, but he still gets the girl. So also primes you up with the wrong idea that if you be like a fucking dork, you end up with her. No, actually, if somebody would have done what he did, like they went to Europe, he was like, he had the perfect moments and shit like that. Not spoiling the movie, but he did all these simpy moves, and if somebody would do that in real life, you won't get the girl. So
Not a chance.
at the end of the movie, I just took my little cousin aside. My little cousin, he was like 14 then. I said, "It was a good movie, right?" And then he said, "Yeah, it was a great movie." Then I said, "What did you think about?" Then I just like teased him a little. "What did you think about Peter and MJ?" And he said, "Yeah, it was funny, blah blah." I said, "Remember everything he did in that movie, and then don't do that or do the opposite of what he did." And then my brother, he looked at me like, because yeah, he isn't that like unplugged as me, but I was like, somebody has to tell these people. And so sometimes when he's talking about girls or something, or he's looking at girls, he's looking at me. What do I think? I'm definitely looking at through different lens now. Somebody should tell these people when they're fucking young, so they don't make fucking mistakes.
And you mentioned the word unplug. What I think people
Yeah.
get a little misconstrued is they almost see it as conspiracy theorists, like that category. They're like, "Oh,
Okay.
people are a little weird," even though what we're talking about, we're just based off of, again, evolutionary psychology, female dynamics,
Yeah.
intergender dynamics,
Yeah.
how girls work. It's not that we have some far aloof idea of girls being the devil and, you know, they only work this one way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just we know how it works. And it's like fucking, I very rarely hang out with certain people, and I choose my friends carefully
Yeah.
because of this
Mm-hmm.
exact thing. Is
Mm-hmm.
like Deja Vu points out with his tweets: program or be programmed. The music you listen to. I listened to fucking rap my whole life. Like dude, I was like 8 years old and I was listening to fucking 50 Cent, and they're like,
Yeah.
fuck bitches, get money, do drugs, like fucking have a good time. And I didn't realize that really did shape me. In high school, I was doing drugs. I was trying to fuck as many bitches as possible. And I was just living a lifestyle of just, it was just disgusting what I was doing.
Yeah.
It was really, I was fucking over my friends to get pussy. And you know, you get over that at some point. And I was so done with that way of thinking. And I was really careful with the stuff that I'm digesting, you know, not only physically, but mentally.
Yeah. What do they call it? Like your diet, your mental diet. You know, your mental
Mm-hmm.
consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think I learned this from Niels, like the painter Twitter Dutch account. He's my friend.
Mm-hmm.
He said long ago, like last year, he doesn't like listening to music that much because music is tiring. And then I thought, nah, that can't be because music gives you constant energy. But what it does, it turns you on, and this activity of turning you on costs energy as that it gives. So there's like a dichotomy going on at the same time. So for me, there are multiple levels. So there's first stillness, silence. When I wake up in the morning, it has to be silent. Then there's ramping it up, perhaps bridging the gap with binaural beats, going all the way from the theta waves to the peak state gamma waves, if I want to do that, not per se. But
Mm-hmm.
between stillness and like listening to regular music, there are like these chill step songs that I like to listen to. You know, you can Google on YouTube Alan Watts chill step mix, or you know, you have all these like lo-fi kind of cool, you know, chill music.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for like throughout the day, not draining your energy too much, and making tune out the background noises a little bit, you know. Or you can listen to Zen waterfall music, not to be spiritual, but then you can actually think on what you're reading, tweeting, or something if you want to have music. Or you just put it off, and then there's silence, and you know that's perfect to work for, you know. And then if you want to go to lifting, then you put on some rap songs, maybe a little bit more aggressive. But it's a short burst, then you turn it fucking off, and then you feel the difference. Also in this contrast, because if you constantly listen to this like music, and also what my friends like to share to me, sad boy EDM shit, chain smokers. Oh, my girlfriend, this baby, that. No, bitch, that's fucking garbage. You're a fucking bitch. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I like chain smokers. Don't get me wrong, but such simpy sad boy music, that is no allow. You know, we don't
Fuck
want that
yeah.
shit in my head. You know.
Yeah, I was listening to, and Deja Vu pointed this out, but
Hmm.
he put two songs on the tweet,
Yeah.
and one was from Little P, which is that almost like that punk emo rap hip hop type shit,
Okay.
and then there was another song that was a little more upbeat and it was like positive, whatever, and that gave me another good glimpse of how important what you're listening to is. I It sucks, but there's a lot of family members I have that I almost, again, I try and avoid them too because I just don't want to be subconsciously programmed with what they do. They think I'm weird because I read books and I try and build a business at the age of
Yo,
21.
Landon, you want to hear something like eerie or creepy? Like what you're talking about is to contrast it starkly. You're more high vibe and they're
Mhm,
more low vibe in terms of like consciousness. They're like these
mhm,
energy skills. Like it's not a knock on them or you, whatever. But what's really eerie or funny is that the second that you go in the vicinity of them, I've noticed this then for myself, I can smell that they're not on the same level. I just feel it. It's a feeling, but it's probably like subtle kinesthetics cues of their body language, maybe pheromones, the smell of cortisol. I don't know what's going on, but it's just a hit. Just the second I'm in their vicinity, I feel it. You know, this person's not high vibe. Because if I meet a Twitter bro or something, it's not like that. Trust me. Then it's like, hey, we're like Genghis Khan and we're gonna take over the world. A very different vibe, right?
mhm.
And what's really funny is also like when you're high and mighty, it's like, oh, this guy is too high and mighty from an energy point of view. They don't know it as well, but then they will try to bring you down, and it goes so fast. They will come up with something petty to make you focus on something that's irritable or something, and then you slip in towards their state of more. The other day, I was seemingly wearing a shirt of somebody, of a family member or something, and it was just the second, and it was so funny. I was just thinking in my head, the thought came, I'm feeling really at peace now. 1 second later, I kid you not, like the family member said, "Hey, isn't that my shirt?" Blah blah. And then the other just to drag me into this like mucky thing that has no productivity thing, you know. And it was so uncanny because I had this feeling already that if I'm high vibe, people who are low vibe will try to drag you down. It's yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's the exact thing. When I talk to you, there's a certain energy. I get more upbeat. Like my brain starts to work even more. I'm starting to think of different ideas. I'm starting to think of, you know, what I could bounce ideas off you with. Other people, you can tell right away, like, do I want to really start to, you know, talk to this person and bounce ideas off them? For the most part, it's a no, because a lot of these people are still super plugged in. Like people that watch sports, people come up to me and go, "Oh, fucking, you know, that football game, the Ravens are playing the whatever. What do you think is going to happen?" I go, "Dude, I don't give a fuck. I literally don't give a fuck at all. Like, it's my world, and that's it. I'm doing my thing. I love my friends. I'll take, like, if my friend's going to call me up and they need something, they need some advice, whatever, I'll give it to them. But at the end of the day, I'm just really blinders on. I'm focused on my path, and I just want to do what I want to get done."
Yeah, like tying it a little bit back to what we talked about old friends and discarding them or cutting them loose. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed this as well. Like, there's this one cool dude. He reaches out to me from time to time because we go way back, and then we just small talk and try to reconnect. But I have to be careful because his if he listens to this, tough luck. But his fiance is a little bit feministic or is a feminist, and I don't want to say that she poisons him, but a lot of her thoughts went into his mind, I think, as well, or they adopted it together. Not to say poison, you know, but I have to be careful with what I say because then he would say like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" So definitely, like, a lot of our conversations are like also like, how do you say, like, one-upmanship, or I try to like tease him. Like, for example, what was it? Oh, he was like, "Oh, yo, bro, you still smoking cigars?" Then I say, "You're still a vegan?" And they say, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not a faggot, you know." And they say, "What the fuck?" Something like that, you know. He said, "Bro, you still smoking?" I'm like, "Yeah, but you're a vegan." So, and he was like, "What does that have to do?" And then he said, it can't compute, you know, or the things that I would say about girls, he wouldn't understand it because he's now more in a monogamous relationship, but also a little bit, I think, I'm maybe putting things in their relationship or words in his mouth, that she wears the pants a little bit. I've seen it from the interactions. And sometimes I don't try to unplug him. That has to happen on their own, but I try to say to him, like, always keep the frame in. I don't say keep the frame, he won't understand it, but I will explain what keep the frame means. Or I will say, "Yo, bro, the dating game is changing, you know? So you gotta stay sharp with this woman, you know." I kid you not, because if he comes back to the dating game, it's gonna be brutal. Like, for example, he's huge and he's handsome actually. When we go to the club, he's so big and muscular that girls come to me and say, "Hey, that guy's actually pretty handsome." So he has like inherent game, but he wasn't that good, if you know what I mean. He was one of those diamonds in the rough, you know. But then he like chose this woman. She's a smart, educated woman. Nothing wrong with her. But I'm saying, like, bro, the dating game is fucking brutal. And constantly he's like, "Yo, bro, what do you mean by that? You're saying like I'm not good, you know?" Like, but I try to, from like a bro's point of view, and I think I'm the only one in this circle who can do this. So I think it's my duty to keep him fucking sharp. I think to not unplug him, but to, hey, like, "Yo, bro, you got to be careful. Like, some women are a little bit like that, you know." Like, yeah,
I think that's important. And most friends, some friends, and that's the similar way that I am with my friends. A lot of my friends don't like some of the ways that I feel, but I'll make it known and I'll explain myself. And I like dialogue. Some people, they don't like to hear different new ideas because it changes. Like you were, I think you said something about how people get stuck in their ways and they're like, it's like a, would it be cyclical? Like they're just in the same thought processes.
yeah, like
And
a vicious cycle, ruminating.
right, right. And when you bring new ideas, it's almost too much for them to handle. Their way of living has been the same way for so long. You bring in a new idea and they immediately shield their mind. They're like, I just don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to, like, even if it's a good idea, even if you have points, I just don't even want to hear it because I'm so used to my habitual thinking.
Yeah.
And they get stuck in that. And girls, I've met very few girls who aren't energy sappers. I dated this girl in high school, and it was like she got a kick out of me,
Mm-hmm.
like mate guarding her. She on purposely would talk to my friends and she was going to dinner with this one dude, just her and him, who was one of, not my friends, but he was like a colleague of mine. A friends of friends.
Yeah.
And I got that call. It was one of my friends who was telling me, hey, like, you know, so and so is going to dinner with so and so, and I go, no fucking chance. He goes, yeah, you might want to call her up and you know, like, set her straight. And I go, all right. I call her up and I go, are you doing this? And she goes, yep. And I go, oh, gotcha. Beep. Call up the dude and I go, like, you're definitely not going fucking anywhere with my girl. Don't even play that. And I think I've changed my ways a little bit though. I used to be that way. I saw this dude at a party, and I go, oh, we're fucking going outside. So I tell him, come outside. And then he brings one of his friends out, and I go, dude, I don't care. I will beat bolt you the fuck up. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that was just my immature thinking. Now, if a girl wants to go sleep with a dude, do what you got to do. Like, I'm just done with you though. If you want to do that, that. I'm just over it.
No, yeah, that's why I laughed a little bit, because one, it's really boss how quickly you acted. Of course, you have to have some, you know, guarding that she sees that you care.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they do it on purpose and stuff like that. Like, for example, if the girl goes on Instagram or something, and then you say, why are you following that dude? Unfollow the dude. You have me or something. Then you can see if she'll say, yeah, you're right, honey, or something like that. But I'm a little bit more what you said, the latter part, you know? It reminds me of what Kaz said. There are implicit rules in the game. He laughs at, like, the noobs who have to state the rules, like, no, you're not seeing that guy, blah, blah. You know, those are noobs. But the players, like Kaz, they're like implicit rules in play, and you're just there chilling. And if it breaks, yeah, okay, like, okay, then it's legit, almost like how Barney in How I Met Your Mother, when he argued with Robin, they never had an argument. As soon as something happened, he just got up and he left, right? It's those, I don't know if people know that scene, but it's actually hilarious. That is me. So, for example, like the other, I don't want to make this like too gossipy, but with the girl, she did something. I was just stood up, and she could see from my body language I was indifferent, you know? I was like, okay. And I walked towards the door, and she was shouting my real name, like, yo, Fury. I was like, and later, she said, yeah, I thought you were going to go away. You thought you were going to go away. I was like, yo, it was just around the fucking corner. But the act of it was so harsh. I think she hadn't seen that in a long time. So before, like, the other dudes would like simp at her. I don't know. But for me, it is not about the comparison. It's about staying true to what you value. She did something, and she knows in the future, like, you know, these are the implicit rules. You must smell what's going on, and if you fuck it up, it's done. Like, you know, that was the yeah, it's actually pretty fun. Though, so I was talking about this girl who's like the female version of me. So she was really smart. And I still, when I think about her, we had a good click because we were so alike, obviously. So I have fond memories of her, of course, but we parted ways. But we actually parted ways because she lived in a different city. So it's a little bit like one of those logistical hard stuff. I don't blame her. But so she has a boyfriend now. And even after she has a boyfriend, she kept texting me. And she said a womanese stuff like, I have a feeling I won't last long with this boyfriend. Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Those kind of stuff. And I don't have that much honor, but I was like, I said something along the lines like, yo, bitch, you just got with this boyfriend, shut the fuck up. Something like that. I was really blunt, but she kept like talking with me the whole time. And this is the last conversation that I ever had with her. But in this conversation, I made it clear to her. I said, the second that guy's dick landed in your pussy, like, it doesn't matter how much I like you or whatever. He just did that. And yeah, and I was like, I'm not even that hurt anymore. I was hurt a little bit because, yeah, you broke the rule. But I was like, that's just like, yeah, what do I do with you now? Like, you got one more body count. Like, I can't trust you. Like, you know, like, it's over. And she was like, and she was playing the woman part, like, you know, that it's not their fault. The solipsism move, you know, the solipsism move. Like, because actually what she had been doing, she was actually, while she was talking with me, she was monkey branching with another dude. And if this whole COVID shit didn't, how do you say, didn't go well in the sense that we didn't get together, me and this girl, she would then go with this other dude. But she did, of course, not tell me this. And because she's not that person actually that sleeps around this fast. So she was like, yeah, I was not seeing him then, blah, blah. I just knew him, blah, blah. Then I said, oh, you actually made it worse. So you're saying you slept with him and now he's your boyfriend in 5 seconds? Then she turned the story around. Then she said, no, I knew. I was already like, you know? And then I said, oh, so you're sleeping with him? And then she says, no, I was not sleeping with him. But then I said, but that's for me as a person even worse, because you were like, monkey brat, you were holding on to this dude, and when you couldn't get this, you were like, oh, gotta get that other dude. I was like, yo, like, I don't play that way. I don't play that way. So, yeah. Oh, I want to ask you a question. Like, so I think also like talking about old friends and stuff like that, and giving advice. Like, I don't know if you've had this. I can share a little bit about this anecdote. I wanted to ask if you had this. So like, we were talking a little bit in a contrast of a new us versus an old us, So in this contrast, there are friends who have like an old filter or perception of us versus who we are now. And this can create, like, I think what has happened with me, some kind of rift, because they perceive you as, let's say for me then, a guy who doesn't know a lot about women. So for example, if I now talk a little bit more about it now, there will be a dissonance, and they won't take me as serious as they should or should not do, but just because of the old perception, And you said, like, when a new idea comes, they shoot off. That's when I came up with this anecdote. Do you feel that?
I think it's interesting. We change so much. I think especially like me and you and people that are, I don't want to say they're on their like fucking self-help, self-development type shit, but for me, because I want to change so quick and I want to be the better version of me, it's hard for me to connect with those old friends and those old ideas. I still have the same humor, and I can kind of revert back to my old self to just get by with my old friends.
Yeah.
But when you start to put on muscle mass and you start to change the way you think about things in the world view you have, it makes a lot of small talk just non-existent. You just don't even want to deal with it because you have your mission, and it makes being with old friends, like you point out, like a rift. There's almost a disconnect there, and it's hard to if they're not on your same path, it's hard to connect those friendships still.
Yeah. But do you feel then that they take you less serious than you should? The validity of your thoughts, the true power, If you tweet something on Twitter, people like it. And if you say the same things to your old friends, how is it perceived? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have certain friends that I tend to not talk about when it comes to certain bigger ideas, because I know my friends that there are certain friends that I'll talk to, and they'll be in that same thought process where it's super in depth. They'll try and piece apart ideas and put them back together. And I have other friends that if I throw out a big idea, they'll say, "Oh, dude, where did you fucking read that on? Some fucking stupid self-help book?" Or, like, they'll just try and make a joke of it. And I don't know if they're making a joke of it because they almost want to pull me back, like any kind of accomplishments I get.
Yeah,
like
humor is a self-defense mechanism.
Right, and so the biggest thing was me getting more muscular. My friends would go, like, joke around with steroids and like, "Oh, fucking chicken and brown rice, dude, you've been eating that all fucking week," or whatever. And I think it's because of just a lack of discipline in them, and they got to throw out that humor because they're just I can't even, I can't lift the weights that you do and be disciplined like that. So they got to find some kind of relievation from that feeling.
Yeah, and I think it's about filtering as well, then, what you say to these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big filtration. I'm really careful with choosing the words and the thoughts that I bring up to most people, because when I talk to someone like you, I can bring a big idea and it's not gonna fucking knock you off your axis. You're gonna be like, "Oh, that's a good thought. Let me think about that a little more. Let me put it through my mind." Other people, because they're so trained in their thought, I throw that big idea and it just knocks them off their entire axis and they can't even like function anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what's so interesting about me, is that this is, I think, deep down the meaning of being like a Ronin or like a cowboy in these days, is that I'm like an outlier, because that's the archetype that moves through different stratospheres of the hierarchy in the society. So what I mean by that is, like, I'm a hoot at family gatherings, for example. So one of my aunt asked me, "What are you looking for in a woman?" Then I said basically what I would tweet, that she listens to me. And like the whole fucking table, like, what the fuck did this dude just say? Because it goes against their normal paradigms, Or I was at another family gathering. There was a cousin of mine. She's a little bit older. She's 30-ish or something, and she was asking me about, hey, Fury. I was joking again about veganism. I was like, fuck veganism, you know? Because actually, I was a vegetarian in a long time. So I have a reason for it. So, but she was saying, like, why don't, she was talking about vegetarianism. I said, yeah, I don't like that. Then she made a comment. She said, what if your girlfriend cooks you vegetarian dishes, you know? Then I said, I'll just go to the other one, you know? She was like, but she actually wasn't expecting that one. She was like smiling,
no.
like you know how women smile when she sees a player or something like that. She had like that smile, and I was like, it was a reflex because I think in tweets and stuff like that, you know. But it's definitely sometimes I have to be careful, you know, and that's also I come across then a little bit more silent because I have to think longer about what I'm gonna say, you know. Because my gut reflex is to say like these funny retorts almost like to push them off the axis like you said, but sometimes maybe it's not, you know. Then I say something that's even not funny or just, you know. But it's definitely, I just wanted to share that with my old friends because how do I say this, like I'm not saying because I'm now a 10K guru that I should get more respect. It's not like that, but people respect me more for my thoughts and content that I put out because they've seen what I've proven myself across a lot of time, and I don't get the same validity for the same ideas with my friends because they hold on to an old perception of me, which of course my ego doesn't like, but then for me, from a chess point of view, I don't give them the same merit again as well, you know. For example, I can give a good example. Like I was talking about one friend. He has like a more feministic spouse. He won't actually come to me for advice. You know what's funny? He will go to a guy who has, give or take, maybe 40 to 50 lays or something. But this guy, he's one of those guys who had like mostly like 4s and 5s, you know, and he just ranked up his numbers. He beefed it up. But
he padded his numbers.
yeah. But what's really funny, if I then ask him how to become more of a game, he's not like TD Day Game or like the game accounts that can then teach. He's actually a little bit stuck, in my opinion, in his old patterns and stuff like that. So let's say if he has a girlfriend now, if it breaks up with the girlfriend, he has to start all over a little bit. So what, you know, he can't understand principle based. He can't teach, you know. So in my opinion, if I just go on like one of these like accounts, or if I ask you, you would be more versed in like principle based thinking, and also thus giving advice on those things, which this dude can't. So in the paradigm of the old friends, there's definitely like a shift, you know. They don't understand what's going on. I'm like, okay, whatever. If I'm at your next wedding walking around with the hottest bitches, you will know, motherfucker. That's how I think now, you know. So whatever.
Yeah, some people just can't teach. I mean, some people know how to do things, but teaching's a whole nother ball game. Like when it comes to lifting and me trying to develop this fitness page, and I have a hard time. Like I'm just going to the store. Let's say, for instance, going to a supermarket. I have to have everything written down. I have to know exactly the layout of the store, and I have to figure out how I'm going to do it strategically. Like that's just the way of my thinking. So when it comes to business,
that's interesting.
I get too stuck in preparation. I never feel prepared enough because I have such lofty goals and I have such lofty expectations.
Yeah.
So I'm almost stuck in the mud when it comes to developing. Do you think you have any kind of ways of getting around just being stuck in a thought process and not so much in action?
Yeah. So definitely that's the overthinking like paradox. What you just said now, like if you have one problem, you can use the CAS framework that I already hinted at this podcast. I teach this to all my friends. I can maybe elaborate the power of it through a small anecdote that I haven't shared on any podcast. So it was last month already. We're in the next month. So in November, I went to Sweden, Stockholm, because it was the only place open to actually have a party, you know, with the lockdown shit. So I took advantage of it. Would be a cool story. Anyway, so it's 3 a.m. It's on a Saturday, and this always happens with me. My phone is at 3% or something. And I'm looking at it. I think, okay, no biggie, because this always happens with me. I have my fucking power bank with me. So I whip out the fucking power bank. But the power bank has a cable, right? You have to plug it in. And then I plug it in. It does not charge. So it's fucking late. I'm tired. I'm typical me as well. I have 0 friends with me. I'm drunk as fuck. And this cable's not charging. And I'm I'm 2 to 3 hours away from my hotel. I know where it is because my brain is like scrambling. So I have to make a quick decision: either take an Uber, party it out, or walk all the way home. Like an amalgam of a lot of things. So this is definitely like something where the CAS framework would work. What you do is you overthink all the fucking options in the moment. I had nothing to write it down actually, but what you then do, you write down all the solutions. Like you just call an Uber right now, call it quits. Then for me there was no, because I'm in a foreign city, I want to play it out, you know. But then you have to walk 2 to 3 hours home. Are you okay with that? You know, you write all these like solutions down and you think about it once and you put it away. So but the story continues. Actually the power of this framework comes in later because okay, so the phone dies, you know. So the phone dies. I'm like, okay, I'm fucked now. So what I actually do, I just started chatting with some girls, and I fucking hate it. There was these like Somalians fucking up my game. There was this hot chick. Anyway, like they had no game. Anyway, but long story short, I was on my I was on my own. But the point is, so I walk home with this Cuban cigar in my mouth, and I was thinking my sins. You know, it's fucking dark. It's a little bit pissed off. It happens with me. But then the story like continues to the next day. I woke up, my phone is dead, and this phone has to be used to go home, to buy food. Actually, before I go home, you know. And so then I thought, I just read the email of Kaz, how powerful it is to overthink something to death, write it down, and then you have the solution. So I was thinking, the first thing was, okay, maybe my phone is broke finally. What is the solution to that? Buy a new phone. And then I thought, fuck, that's going to cost me a lot of money, you know? Then I thought, there are some cheaper options. Then I wrote down cheap options, you know? I just went it down like strategically, and I was like pissed, but I had to do it, you know? And then I thought, let's hope the power bank, maybe it's the power bank fault. Then I have to buy a new power bank. Thirdly, let's hope it's this one. Let's, God forbid, it's just that the cable broke, you know? Cable broke, that's not gonna cost me a lot of money. Step 4, find like a electronic store where I can buy these fucking shit. And then I wrote step 5, fucking enjoy the moment, drink your coffee and your breakfast in the hotel. And if you're like fucking like overthinking shit again, go to the solutions because there's nothing to think about anymore, you know? So I just wrote this, move to the side. Then I actually like fucking eating. I was pretty chilled out, but still thinking a little bit about it. But because if I could not access my phone, I was dead. I was fucked. Well, actually, smart that I am, had like a burner phone to contact like a powerful dude who would help me. So, but anyway, so long story short, TLDR, I find an electronic store. It was the fucking cable. I plug it in and it comes back to life. Then I thought, yo, Kaz and his ideas are fucking smart. So it internalized for me how to like overthink something to death, write down the solution, lock it up. And if you think about it again, just think, hey, what was the solution again? Apply the solution. And then, you know, so that's definitely like a tip. But for most people overthinking, they don't have enough crystallized vision coupled with the proper systems, I think.
Because, for me, it seems that I think I would probably attribute it to, I feel like I've gotten rid of most of my ego. Obviously, you want to have a little bit of ego still, but my ego, because my goals and my aspirations are so lofty, my ego gets upset when I fail at something because I think I got to be the best. Like I have to do this. I have to do it great. And so when I don't meet those expectations, it's a real hit to my ego, and it hurts, but I guess I just gotta keep going and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it reminds me of what another Twitter dude asked me. So he is not focusing on growing his Twitter account, and he is in drop shipping or something like that. So he actually makes money online already, and he's doing good. So he already worked on that business model a long time ago. So I found it a little bit personally strange that he was actually focusing on the fact that his Twitter was not growing as fast as other people. And then I said, yo, dude, what's wrong? Because you're not focusing as hard on it as, like, let's say, War on Weakness or, I don't know, me or somebody else, you know? We're focusing on this. Of course, we're going to outlap you a little bit, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. But then he said, like, yeah, but I'm just competitive, and then my ego, a little bit like you. Then I, like, gave him the advice that I like to give myself. Then I said, the state of being bruised, having a bruised ego, the state that you then fall into is actually detrimental for getting what you want. You have to rationalize the fact that if you get affected by something, it will actually set you back instead of like what you want. You know, it sounds maybe like strange, but wanting it too much is the bad state to be. It's just like you're giving your competitors an edge by caring too much about it. While obviously your competitors are already fucking far ahead. That is not going to change. Just accept that, understand it, internalize it, write it down, journal on it, meditate on it. And then it's like, oh yeah, but I have to do the work anyway. So okay, gonna focus on myself. You have to be a little bit blind, those shutters. You have to, and then some. Oh, that's what I said. Put your head down, and from time to time you can look again. Where am I at? And then you can compare it again. Bruise your ego a little bit, readjust.
Yeah, and it's like that. FOMO. When you see other people on Twitter and they're growing so fucking fast, and you never know the behind scenes. The same dude that I was talking about earlier, how he called me up and he followed me and I gave him good advice, whatever, and then he just kind of blew me off and fucking went off on his own. He was paying for retweets, and then I found that out, and I noticed, and I go, like, why am I comparing myself to him? One, because we're completely different. Even though he's in the fitness industry, he's paying for retweets. He's doing that thing. I'm here growing my Twitter organically. And that's exactly how I want it. And I thought to myself, how am I going to sell with only 1,000 followers? But then I remembered I've personal trained people. I've opened up my program a little bit, and there's plenty of people. Even when I only had, I think, 600 followers, I was still able to get people who were interested in what I was doing, and they wanted to know more about, how my programs work, how my nutrition works, and the layout of my entire structure.
Yeah, that's definitely catering to the quality of your leads or your followers. So I was talking to this with Eddie, War of Weakness. He now today got like 20K followers, and he gave me advice. Yeah, Fury, but your followers love you. So for me, I was thinking about, like, also what we talked earlier about monetization. Yeah, monetization is cool, but I like to think a little bit, for me, then that Twitter for me then maybe has to be more fulfilling in the sense of purpose. There's this Japanese concept called ikigai. It's four circles that intersect, and in the middle is ikigai, which is equivalent to purpose. So you do what you're good at, what the world needs, what you love to do, and what you get paid at. And Twitter for me and my mail list, coupled with that, is the only thing on the fucking planet, I can assume, coupled with this podcast, by the way, that can do all those four things for me at the same time. And that means for me, then maybe I won't get paid for it as much as other people, but I do love to do it. I love to do these things, and I think the world needs it, or else people wouldn't keep shouting me out. There's definitely some need for it, or else somebody else would have risen to the ranks. And I'm actually pretty good at it. People today, like, for example, when I tweeted out that the podcast was out, it was like some people didn't know about, like, the fuck, oh, finally you're doing it, and then I'm saying, yeah, it's just in its infancy. And they always shout out about my writing, or the other day somebody was asking me about my writing advice, and it has also gotten a little bit more commercial, because I know I have to, like I said, maybe I don't have to monetize Twitter, but I just have to learn the skills such as copywriting. It's just a platform to jump off a little bit, and also meet powerful people I can work with, or whatever. So I'm definitely, like, I just try to keep the chill, because I know some people are making dirty money. Not dirty money, like Tupac would say, you made it in a sleazy way, but like crazy amounts of money, like shit. So that's also a little bit FOMO, but I just try to,
There was a dude who I was working with on Twitter. I don't know if you remember him. His name was Marvin, and he was an e-commerce guy.
Shit, Marvin.
Dude, oh my God. So I didn't know what he was doing, but I knew he was working with e-commerce.
Yeah.
And I remember
Marvin's not a good guy.
Who was it? It was I think his name was Veldon or Verdon or something.
Oh, Veldon. Yeah.
He put out a thread about how Marvin and another dude fucked him over. Like they got 5,000 from him for e-commerce, and whatever they were supposed to do, they didn't end up doing. And at the time when all that was blowing up, I was personal training Marvin, and he was making great results, and I was helping him throughout it. And I was like, I just didn't even want to work with him anymore. I was like, dude,
something
like,
ethical, inside.
Yeah, you're paying me, and like you're making great results, and everything's working fantastic. Yeah. But I just don't want to be associated with that, even for the money. I don't even want to deal with it, because I just don't trust you. I just cannot trust you. And it was so crazy. Out of everyone, I could have been personal training. He was one of the main ones that hopped on board, was paying like perfectly. And I was just like surprised that he was fucking dudes over with e-commerce and whatever
Yeah,
else
man.
he was working on.
It was him and Effie, I think. Him and Effie.
Right,
Effie the
right.
contact. Yeah,
Yep,
there's also another dude. I think his name is like Legacy Few or something.
yep.
He put a thread out as well. And yeah, I just feel for these people because it's such a, how do I say, like, oh, I think the money Twitter guys say it a lot, or the bros. They say because there are already so few of us on the planet, there's so little of us, like you and me and these type of guys, compared to the whole world. We're such a small percentage of these different type of thinkers who want to go their own way, you know. Why do you scam amongst each other? Like, why the fuck are you doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's already so much evil in this world. Why? You know,
And
it's,
then,
it's ridiculous.
like you talk about dirty money, how do you expect to run a business that is fucking people over? It's only going to last so
Yeah,
long.
I
People are
actually
going to
meant
find
I meant
out.
it like in a phrase, you know, like that money is like crazy dirty much, you know, like I didn't actually meant scammy
Oh,
money, but
okay. Well, scammy money. Like these dudes, how are you going to run a business that you're scam people over? Within a year, you're going to get found out. People are going to realize you're just fucking people over, and that your business model is fucked. You're not making any more money. So again, when I try and go about what I do, I try and systemize,
Mhm.
my programs, and I
Yeah,
try and figure out, how I can help people to the best of my degree,
yeah,
and without doing dumb, dirty, just bullshit and being fake as fuck. I just can't stand that.
yeah. This is a little bit talking about karma, you know. It's there's this thing that like some murderers or some thieves, sometimes they go to the police themselves, you know. They can't live with themselves or something, you know. There's something
Mhm.
inside them, and it's something like that, you know. You can scam people, but I don't know, something must happen to you that's not gonna be pretty, you know.
Yeah, yeah, especially with Twitter. I try and again, like there's some people on Twitter that you can tell maybe aren't the best, and I try and just avoid those people. But you can like you can sniff it out, you can smell, when there's bullshit brewing, and I don't like drama though. Again with the things that have happened with the people who've fucked me over on Twitter, I just try and avoid it. I'm not a drama person who's gonna tweet on Twitter like, oh, this person's a piece of
Yeah.
shit, blah blah. I just don't. I'm over it. I'm just done with it.
No, it reflects to your, like that anecdote that you talked about that girl, how you deal with it now. As they say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. When
Hmm.
something happens with me on Twitter, I want it to be frictionless, the same as I want my relations and relationships to be frictionless as well. It's like, okay, yeah,
Exactly.
this had to happen. Okay, now we flow apart or flow together. It's either
Hmm.
one of those.
And it's like with girls, they don't like that indifference. They like you either gotta love them or you hate them, or they gotta get some emotion out of you. And so when you're
Yeah,
on, you don't care, and you either just block them or you send them on their way, and you're like, I'm done with you. It's hard for them to understand that, and they get pissed about that.
yeah. Like I can share a little bit again about the same girl. Like so the last couple serious guys she was with, they were simping on her, you know, and that affected her in some way because she mentioned the last guy constantly about how clingy he was. I can't I can't make the logic right now or can't compute how that affects a girl's mindset. Maybe you can enlighten me on that. But she says because this guy was so clingy, she's now in a certain way. I don't know what that means, but if a guy is too clingy on you, usually the girl loves the validation, you know.
Hmm.
But so for me, I think I'm the reverse because I'm not that clingy. So she was talking about how much like we had a good connection and shit like that. But she brought it up first, you know. And but midway, she realized what she was doing in typical women sense. She didn't plan it out or something. Then she says, "I'm never the first to say these things," you know. She was. This is her mantra now. I'm not the first to say these things, but I'm like, bitch, you're already doing it, you know. And now I'm like teasing her. I'm saying I'm waiting for your eternal love confession, you know. Like she hasn't like gone that far, but I'm like teasing her. She's like, because and what's funny, she tries to like pull out of me these things as well, and I'm really careful. I actually like, I'm not playing. I'm like playing a little bit cool, you know. Like I do say like, we have a good click or something like that, you know. But she tries to like it, like they can't handle it, like when you're so indifferent, you know. But it's
Hmm.
because I try to, in general, try to have like smooth relations in general because I don't try to, yeah.
Yeah, with girls, I've talked about how interesting their thought process is.
Mm.
I spent 3 hours with a girl. Like she came over
Yeah.
and we're hanging out for this whole 3 hours. and then we finally end up fucking. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you can
Good
contest to
time.
this. When you fuck a girl, for me, you just want to send them on their, like, you don't. After I'm done fucking, I like my space. I like to be
Oh
alone.
yeah, I
And
have this.
so
I
since I
have
spent so much
this
time with girls,
tweet. After nothing, you want nothing.
oh yeah, and that's exactly it.
Only a
That
guy
quote.
understands. Only a guy
Oh yeah,
understands.
yeah, yeah. Because girls can't understand it. I spent so much time with this girl already. Then we fuck, and then I'm like, oh, okay, like it's I, like I tried to stay at least hanging out with her a little bit after it, but after like 10 minutes of after us fucking, I sent her on her way, and she was pissed. And I thought to myself, I just gave you the dick of your life, and now you're gonna complain to me, even though you spent so much time at my place and we fucked and whatever. And she was just mad that I kicked her out after we fucked. It wasn't that she's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
we should hang out more after we fuck, and I go, we just hung out for 2 or 3 hours, then we fucked, then I kicked you out. Like, we're done. I don't know what else you want to do. Fuck, like, goddamn. All
it's
right.
about the specificity, you know, that you fucked. That is the she gave you her most precious value, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kick her out. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
They hate it.
it's but because I'm so self-aware these days, you know, this post-nut clarity, you know, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lobo said it. He primed me to it. I think because his tweeting voice came to my head while I was. So this girl was on my chest, and Lobo said, "After I'm gone, after." Oh no, he said, "Actually, I'm doing a favor because I try to hold my like semen attention while he is doing it with them. I'm doing them a favor because when I'm done, I want them gone." And I was a little bit perplexed by that. Like, what do you mean by that? You know? But so I was lying in bed with this girl, and like after you have post nut clarity. This tweet of his just floats in my head. After you're done, you want her gone. I heard, and then I thought, oh, I know now what he means, because this girl was talking to me, and I was like, yep. You know, I was like, I was passed out. I was already thinking about tweets or like, you know, yeah, yeah.
There was one genius idea that Lobo had. I know it's Lobo. He was talking about, again, like fucking a girl and don't nut. I've never seen a girl's mind implode
Yeah,
when I fucked her and I didn't nut and I was cool with it. I'm like, yeah, that was a
yeah,
cool
that's
20
what I
minutes.
just said. Yeah, Lobo, like fucking her while holding semen. That's him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
smart because they want to suck it out of you.
Yep. And no guy does that. There is
No.
not. If you meet a girl, there's a 99% chance that every dude's hitting it and they're nutting within 5-10 minutes, whatever, and they're done. But if you
Yeah.
hold it, they're like, "Am I not good enough? Is my box not good enough? Like, do you want me to suck you off?" They're fucking brewing in their mind. They can't handle it.
Yeah, the BJs get better than as well. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
because I think it's maybe like also the pheromones or like the energy. So what you're doing is like I think so. Lobo in this same thread, he quoted Friedrich Nietzsche that you have to ejaculate up the spine and how to do it, you know, and shit like
Mhm,
that. But I think
mhm.
so. You're actually what you're doing. You're climaxing, but you're not ejaculating. You know, you climb. So so you're on fire. You like suddenly feel energy and shit like that. And a woman is really susceptible to that. So she's feeling that, but she's not. So it's like a special move, you know. Like she doesn't feel like anything, even if you wear a condom or something. She feels it, you know. And it's like. But she's like, he does feel like you know, like high energy and shit like that, and they want to be near that, and it's so yeah, yeah,
One advice I have for guys, especially younger guys, and what I noticed, it shocked me when I was young, about 13 to 16, 17, when I really hadn't changed a whole lot. Girls insisted I wear condoms. Like, it
yeah,
was no obligation. It was, you
yeah,
must wear a condom, blah blah blah, whatever.
yeah,
Nowadays, girls literally say, like, why are you wearing a condom? They don't want me to, because
yeah,
I think I've hit a point where they see that, like, let's say in case they do get pregnant, they're not worried about it. They
yes,
know that I'm at least high enough on the hierarchy where that's not really a thought to them.
yeah, yeah. The alpha seed, you know,
And
it's
that makes me double down and fucking wear a condom even more, because unless I'm in a committed relationship, which is different,
yeah,
but I should have been wearing condoms my entire life, but
yeah,
I've really came around to it now.
yeah. It's yes, they're looking for that alpha dude, you know.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Lobo, I was going through some Lobo tweets I think today because he also said that like if she doesn't want your kids, she doesn't really deep down like you. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want you to climax inside her, she doesn't like you as well. Actually, deep
Mm-hmm.
down, subconsciously, because it's the most intimate part of you. It means that she can keep you around. You know. You know,
Mhm.
what's it like? If she doesn't wrap your legs around you and says like, "Do it inside me," she ain't the one. You know,
Uh-huh.
it feels true because it is. You know, she doesn't actually want you. She just
Yeah.
wants sexual validation for the day, and then the
Mhm.
next is gonna come. And it's also how you feel to them. You know, yeah.
Oh yeah. And I want to know what you would give to what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self, not only when it comes to relationships, but especially relationships, because I think that young guys, at least for me, I was super attentive because I knew most guys were fucking up relationships and with girls.
Hmm.
I would see guys with girls and I would really pay attention because you pick up on those little cues. You see what works, you see what doesn't, and then you can prove that. You can start to systematize getting girls and using it to your advantage. And for me, if I was to tell my old, I mean, I'm not really old as it is, but if I was to tell my 14-year-old self, what to do, it would be pay less attention to girls because that'll get you more girls. You can't completely blow them off, but you got to go about it the right way. And also, don't put so much emphasis on your ego to girls. Because if I had a girl reject me, it was the biggest blow. I was thinking to myself, I'm fucking jacked, I'm handsome, I'm smart. Why would this bitch doesn't want me? And it's almost the same way that when it's the way like a girl wants you, but if you don't
Hmm.
want her, she
Hmm.
wants you even more. And it's
Yeah.
one of those dichotomies. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
So definitely tied to what you just said, that last part, because I was thinking about that, like you said, about not tying it too much to your ego. So I think when I was younger, so the advice that I would give would counter this is that I was too preoccupied on, I think it was ego stroking, you know, but is that I was focusing too much on the act itself, maybe like getting off. And so definitely they say the numbers that you pump up are definitely for you yourself. Nobody gives a fuck at one point how many you know,
Mm-hmm.
actually nobody cares. That's the secret. And but you have to go through this process yourself to actually understand it. So a younger person actually, for the both of us, won't understand it, I think, because you have to go through these numbers, and then when you're digging a certain amount a certain way and you're feeling a certain way, you think, hey, wait, I should actually not pay that much attention to girls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit, yeah, so deprogram yourself a little bit with this Western mindset of hedonism and promiscuity, also from the guy's side, because what you're actually doing, yeah, this is gonna maybe sound super misogynistic, but what you're doing, you're just masturbating with another flesh meat. If it's
Yeah.
not something that you, yeah, get something out of it, you know, if it's a mini relationship, you know, that's possible as well, you know, I'm cool with that. But if you're just doing it, let's say almost every day or something, there's no merit to it. Anything in excess is wasteful. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if you drink too much water, you die, you know. And this is the same for like casual hooking up, and it's a cope, you know, because I know my vice as well, like drinking and smoking. So as I've been digging around more, I understand that it's a cope as well, you know. And when
Mm-hmm.
something is a cope, I try to approach it more from a Zen point of view, that it has to be done in a balanced point of view, because I'm only human. Or else I always say, if you want to be a monk, you can be a monk. You can go to Tibet, you know, become a fucking yogi. That's possible as well. If you're not, you're gonna have like these mortal worldly desires, you know. But then you have to balance it out. And some things are more important than just digging something every day. It's not worth it, you know. But it has to be
So
felt. You have to. It has to click or something, you know.
mhm. With I mean, I think most people in the red pill community would consider it shit testing. But one of the biggest things, and I'm curious how you would go about this. Girls will always ask me, how many girls have you fucked? Like that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Every girl they see me, they go, oh, this guy probably's fucked a lot of girls, and so they
Mhm.
just assume right away. They go, how many girls have you fucked? Because they're trying to get that information out of me.
Mhm.
And the way that I approach it is, I tell them I don't even know the number. Like, not that it's so high that
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally don't give a fuck about the number. I don't care about it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know that's how much I don't give
Yeah.
a
But
fuck.
that's internalized to you then. How you feel about it, right?
Mhm.
So I definitely know the number because I'm a perfectionist. So
Oh,
what?
I know the number too.
Yeah, no, but it's like what gets measured gets mastered. It's also
Yeah.
like it's also skill. So I have to, like lifting. I know these PR numbers. You know, it's just something I do. But when she asks it, like Lobo has the good one. You know, one too few. How many girls you slept with? One too few.
Uh-huh. That's a good one.
So I give that one because the Twitter bros are good for that shit. But
Mhm.
so this girl that I'm talking with, I think she wants more like a more commitment. You know, so she asked me how many girlfriends I had. Then I said, um, a friend taught me to. So it's actually funny. So she was laughing about the whole tweet mindset. So I said like, a friend taught me if a girl asked how many girls I slept with, it's one too few. Then she started laughing at that one. Then I said, I think girlfriends is the reverse. Then how many girlfriends is one too much? And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, fuck you, you know. She was angry, you know.
Yeah.
But she was definitely like shit testing me on the my skill set or my sexual prowess. She asked me. This one was a new one, so I had to improvise. So um, I had to think like a tweeter, you know, like what do I tweet? So she said, "Have I ever slept with a hooker?" So that was a new one, you know. But it was so I was done with her. So we were lying in bed, and then she sneaked up with me. Have you ever slept with a hooker? Then I ignored the question. Then so there are three ways to diffuse the shit test: ignore, agree and amplify, or disagree and amplify. So I just went with ignore, which is my basic move in the sense that I'm not that. The other two have a little bit humor aspect always to it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
disagree and amplify and the other one. But so I just did the ignore, and then she said, "Oh, you don't want to answer, you know." Then I like said something funny else, you know, and then we said, "Yeah, you can tell me, you know." Then I said, "Oh," then I did my classic. That one didn't work as well. Then I said, "A gentleman never tells," you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she kept digging. Oh, and then I actually turned it around on her. Then I said something like, "What I can tell you, like hookers definitely give a better hand job than you," or something like that. And she was like,
Yeah,
she
she
was
didn't
like,
like that.
yeah, but and then I got her because I hit her with that from an emotional point of view. Then I
Mhm.
rationalized it. Then I said, a fitness coach is always fit. So babe, don't be hurt because a prostitute, it's her job to fuck. So it's obvious that
I
she's.
remember your tweet. That was a great tweet
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh, I tweeted that out because I got it
Uh-huh.
from her, and then she was, yeah, you're right. But then she didn't ask anymore because I don't know what came off. I diffused it or something, but then it was done.
See,
Yeah.
and that's what changed between my thinking as I was talking about how I just think of tweets randomly. I'll be in those situations, and because I'm tweeting and I'm trying to inform the people that follow me and try and get them a better view of like the world and how I see things. And you'll pick up on those little cues because you're writing, because you're
Yep.
thinking so much, and because you're putting that time in, and it makes you more of I don't want to say an intellectual because I feel like that's a buzzword, but it makes you like more of a thinker. It really provides those
Yes.
thoughts for you where you're able to piece them apart.
Yeah, I think so. How the law of attraction works and what you just described is the RAS, the reticular activating system. What you see, you constantly think about. It's this feedback loop in your brain that's constantly going on. What you just said, it's always there at the ready. These tweets because you're so into it, thinking, writing, dissecting, journaling, meditating, and it's always in your brain. And so I think I put out a tweet yesterday. It was a tongue-in-cheek joke to one of my growth Twitter like friends. His name is Art of Purpose. He has like
Mm-hmm.
20K or something, and he has this Twitter course. It's called Create Content 24/7. You know. So I made a tongue-in-cheek tweet. I said, create 24/7. Make a tweet, make Twitter laugh, then reuse the tweet, and they use it on the Grow. Then I posted the screenshot of that I used it on the Grow because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so actually earlier that day I had posted a funny story about how I was alpha and stole somebody's dog, and Twitter was laughing about it, and my friends in the DMs. So I thought the girl I was talking to, she's gonna find it funny as well. So I texted the same story. I just control copied it to her, and she was laughing. And then I reposted that on Twitter, and this is literally how I am as a person. What you see on the feed is me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and what's on the feed I take with me. So what all the bros say, Kaz and Lobo, what you just give me, I take it with me. And when somebody says something, I think, hey, Landon said this, I need to use this, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's why again your Twitter account, why I get so much motivation from it is because not only the
Oh
versatility but the authenticity of it.
yeah, I want to chime in on that. People, that's I think I haven't hinted at it in this podcast, but how I think when I tweet is the tweets from Fury 2020 should not be the same from 2017 because I want to be further ahead, and the
Mm-hmm.
people know it. When they see me now talking about girls, they know I've grown more into it. When they see me talking about lifting, they know it that I've been doing the work, and it's not something I control copy or use for platitude's sake. You know, I've come up with the lessons through blood, sweat, and tears, or through fucking hard thinking, and they know it. I don't even have to express it; they just know it, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely like that. Yeah, I
Well,
just like that.
yeah, and you know, I write a lot on Twitter, and I've gotten times where I think to myself like, oh, this tweet blew up, maybe I should recycle it.
Yeah,
But I agree with your point. I shouldn't be I should be learning from my tweets that I put out in the past, and I should be creating new content and constantly curating that. I shouldn't
yeah.
be recycling and again with the platitudes and the bullshit. I don't want to go that route.
It's good that you hint that. Like, so no knock on this friend of mine. He's a good dude. He grows his Twitter account amazingly. He puts out good content. No knock on him. But so I had a
Mhm.
good thread that went viral, and I think I made him or some other friends, retweet it, to put it back on the timeline.
Mhm.
But what he said was a little bit what you just said. I should delete it, take it down, and refurbish it later. But when he said that, I was like, why the fuck would I do that? I don't give a fuck, because I have already learned this shit. I'm gonna find something else that looks like that, so you can learn from the style. So it was a mini thread, just 5 bullets. Then I phrased it in a terse way, and the lessons were about regret and dying on your deathbed. So that's definitely a theme that people resonate with. I like to talk about it as well. I think about my death a lot of times throughout the day. So and so I definitely pick up cues what works for multiple people. But I'm not in a game of like refurbishing it for the sake of refurbishing it. That's
Mhm.
why I don't like to delete tweets and then repost them again later. It feels cringy.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, the
I gotta
Twitter is
piss.
almost a 24/7 mirror to me and my life.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I run my Twitter. I like to only put stuff that I find valuable, and it's almost. I was going to tweet something out like a few weeks ago about how my Twitter is one big monologue to myself about how I should be living and the things that I should be implementing.
Yes,
And I'm
beautiful.
glad that people resonate with that. And I'm sure it's similar with you. Is when you put these tweets out, you get it's addicting that you get that resignation, and then you go, I'm changing. And I'm sure you've gotten DMs where people tell you that you're genuinely not only changing their like mindset but their life because they're
Yes.
implementing these mindset shifts.
Yeah, I really like that aspect that I'm changing the life. My ego cannot not see that. But I was talking earlier about purpose, that the world needs me. And
Mhm.
when it's always funny when I sometimes have like doubts that I just want to delete my Twitter. I have these moments. Then a DM like this comes. Then he says, "Yo, Fury, I really like your stuff, man. You changed my life and shit like that." And I think, oh shit, the way they phrase it, like as if they're like a younger me. So I'm basically tweeting to a younger version of myself that is somebody else. And he says, "Yo, you saved me, man." Blah blah, blah. And it's not some bullshit like some Indian, like asking me for money, like weird shit.
Mhm.
But like generally, and then it makes me feel good. And but the guy that I am, I screenshot it. So when a woman says, "What do you do, Fury?" it's actually funny. So when you get to know people, it's always three questions:
Mhm.
what's your name, what's your age, and what do you do, or something like that. The
Yeah.
basic ones. But for me, from the get-go, they jump in my frame because I'm Fury, and they constantly want to know what's my real name. So that's hilarious as fuck because I don't give them. Why should I give
Mhm.
it to them? And then the age, I'm 300 according to Cas. So that's always funny. And then what do I do? Then I say something like I saved the world or something, and they're like, "Yeah, that's fucking bullshit." And then I whip out my phone, and then in like a screenshot it says, "Yo, you're saving me" or something, like almost like uh, you know verbatim what I just said. And then they're like, then I got them. And then they know they're playing with something else, a different guy. It's not per se
Mhm.
that I give the best dick or the biggest or something, but then they know this is not some regular dude. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
I just want them to know that. So,
Yeah. All right, brother. I gotta piss.
yep.
That was a good podcast, though.
you,
I
uh,
got a
you,
lot of time there.
you want some closing thoughts for the audience?
Um,
Because
especially,
I had some questions planned, but this free flow was really good. We covered a lot of shit, especially when you asked me about what would we say to our younger people. We talked
mhm.
about business,
Yeah,
red
I
pill.
think I think
Yeah.
the biggest takeaway for most people, again, it's just you gotta find your craft and you gotta really work towards it. I think too many people focus like the FOMO thing. Too many people are focusing on what
Yeah.
everyone else is doing, whatever else is going on, and it's nowadays is the hardest time to focus because there's so much information, there's so
Yes.
much stuff going on around you.
Mhm.
So being alone is a superpower because you're able to curate your stuff, work on your craft, And most guys need to stop hanging out with most of their friends. It sucks to hear. Most of your friends are probably losers. It was the truth for me. Most of your family members, sucks to hear, they're probably losers as well. Not that you can't hang out or be nice to these people. It's just you got to really, really, time and everything you consume is of the absolute importance.
Yeah, so we'll end it with that. Thank you very much for
Yep.
tuning in. Follow at Gladiator Landon on Twitter and his
Yep,
No Brain
yep.
podcast on YouTube. And yeah, like and subscribe and keep fucking supporting the podcast. And we'll have crazy ass more conversations, man. HOOA.
Yep, yep.